and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrecked the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let's hear it for Lions Alliance on the performance of our national anthem and the flames from the Warbirds. Flyover theme for today's flyover.
A champion about to be crowned. The final race of the 2015 season. Chris Buescher with an 18-point lead over Chase Elliott. Hello everyone, Rick Allen, Jeff Burton, and Steve Letarte with you for this final race of the 2015 season. What does Chris Buescher have to do to grab this championship?
Well, he has to do the same thing he's done all year long. He's been rock solid. Anytime one of these guys mounted a charge, he's had an answer for it. If you're one of these other three guys, though, you have to do something to take Chris Buescher and put him in something that's not comfortable. You have to have a really good race, make him feel like he has to be more aggressive than he really wants to be.
Well, Chris Buescher has earned the right today to just be good. He doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to do anything extraordinary. Just go out, be solid, run inside the top 10, and he'll leave here today a champion.
18 points is the gap between he and last year's champion Chase Elliott. That's 18 positions on the racetrack. Chris Buescher closing in on his first title.
Every point critical when you're battling for a championship.
A lot of things can still happen. We're not giving up. No matter what, we're going to give it all we got in Homestead. Young drivers trying to make a name for themselves, no better way than to win this race.
We have a long ways to go and a short time to get there. I race hard and I'm going to keep racing hard until I get my championship back.
Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott,
Ty Dillon, Regan Smith, all these guys have something to prove.
welcome to NBC's coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series Ford EcoBoost 300. An overcast day for the final race of the season. 200 laps, 300 miles to decide a championship. Chris Buescher is the closest to claiming that prize at the end of the day. 18 points in front of Chase Elliott.
Well, Chris Buescher has an 18-point advantage, but what Chase Elliott needs to do, the defending champion, all of those opportunities he has are to win the race. He has to go and put the pressure on Chris Buescher. Lead laps, be the leader. Has to put Chris Buescher in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you don't do enough to compete at a high level and let Chris Buescher ride around all day, he's going to take this championship. You've got to go and lead this race and earn maximum points.
For the last 23 weeks, Chris Buescher has been the one in the lead, out front in the points championship. Now he wants to finish the deal. 18 points in front of Chase Elliott. He's got to keep it in front if he wants to win the title. Let's get the engines fired. Here's the command.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, National Women's Soccer League, and on the United States Women's National Team, Carly Lloyd.
Is everybody in the crowd ready for today? I can't hear you! Drivers, start your
A national treasure, World Cup hero, Carly Lloyd giving a command. The engines are fired. We're about to go racing in Miami. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by the Ford F-150. Every other truck is history. Xfinity, X1 from Xfinity, will change the way you experience TV. And by our voting. Are you ready?
Give them hell, have fun.
Yes, sir.
You are going into the wall so hard.
Chris Buescher played him like a fiddle.
Reagan Smith will win.
NASCAR Nationwide Series champion is Chase Elliott.
The young stars of NASCAR on the main stage. The Xfinity Series Ford EcoBoost 300 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Today's starting grid is brought to you by Ford. Up front, Kyle Busch and Daniel Suarez. It's the 7th front row sweep for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015.
In row 2, we have Austin Dillon, who has 3 wins on mile-and-a-half tracks this season, and Brian Scott still looking for his first win.
Row 3, we have Ryan Blaney and Eric Almirola. Ryan Blaney is driving the 2015 Odor Champion car for Team Penske.
Starting 7th, Eric Jones. He won the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship last night.
Row 5, we have Tyler Dillon, who's 3rd in points, 22 points back.
In row 6, we have our points leader, Chris Buescher, starting alongside Brendan Gaughan.
Back in row 7, starting 13th, Chase Elliott, 2nd in the points, defending series champion.
Row 8, we have 2 drivers trying to stay top 20 in points, J.J. Yaley, Ryan Sieg.
Row 9, we have Ryan Reed, who won the season opener at Daytona, starting next to Ben Rhodes.
Back in row 10, a very busy driver, Landon Castle, running double duty this weekend. Let's take this opportunity to chat with the point leader in the Xfinity Series, Chris Buescher.
Hey, Chris, it's Jeff in the booth. You with us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, Chris, you and your team have had a very, very solid year this year. Tell us how you're going to finish this off.
Well, we're ready to go. Really proud of these guys. They've done an excellent job all year, like you said. We've been able to put ourselves in this position when it counts. So if we're here, we got to make the most of it. You know, glad to have Fastenal on board our Mustang right here in Ford Championship weekend. Hopefully we can bring this thing home.
So what is your strategy going into this race with the point lead that you do have?
Well, we got to make sure we're there at the end first, so that's going to be the most important part. You know, but when it's all said and done, we're coming here to race, so we got to make sure we do what we need to do. We know what our situation is with the other 3 contenders, so make sure we keep them in sight or ahead of them, and we know that'll be good enough when it's all said and done.
Chris, appreciate you taking some time to spend some time with us this afternoon. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, here you go.
We will ride along with a few different drivers this afternoon. First being 7 of Regan Smith, has the Sunoco in-car camera. He'll start row 7. Chase Elliott, defending series champion, has the Xfinity onboard camera. He will start 14th. Chris Buescher, point leader, going into the final race of the season with the Ford in-car camera, starting 11th. And Ty Dillon, the number 3 Chevrolet onboard camera, will start 10th. Today's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Want to take a look at the GE track facts, where these drivers start. The top 4 in points bunched together. Qualifying earlier today was rain shortened. They only got 2 rounds in, and so the championship contenders all starting close to each other. As we look at the race facts, 200 laps, 300 miles on this 1.5-mile track. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. One mistake on pit road could mean the difference between a champion and a runner-up. The fuel window between 58 and 62 laps. For updates on these drivers, let's go trackside to Marty Snyder.
Rick talked to Chris Buescher moments ago, and he said, honestly, I would be lying if I told you I was not a little bit nervous today. He said, but one thing we're not here to do, just finish 13th, which, as we pointed out, will win in the championship today. He said, we had one of our best races of the year at Homestead last year. We want to finish today in the top 5. Kelly?
Not only is this Regan Smith's last chance to steal the championship, it's his last chance to prove he deserves a job next year. In spite of 2 wins, he has no right for 2016. What better way to get those conversations than with a win today, Mike?
Kelly, in order to defend his Xfinity Series title, Chase Elliott needs to overcome an 18-point deficit this afternoon. He says, I think we can do it. If I didn't, I would stay home this weekend. His crew chief Eric Cope agrees and said, we're going to go real hard all the way to the end. Dave?
Ty Dillon can still win the championship, just 22 points back. Crew chief Nick Harrison told me, I'm so sorry the season is ending. We've got a lot of speed right now. They'll need to use it to get to victory lane and win a championship, maybe if they can have things fall their way today, Rick.
And let's listen in to the 9 radio just moments ago.
It's been a pleasure working with you guys this year. I appreciate your hard work all season long. I know it's a lot of time spent away from your families, and I certainly appreciate it. Everybody's got a job. Just do it. Yep, 10-4, we'll go down swinging here.
The pep talk coming from the driver. Chase Elliott will take over for Jeff Gordon in 2016. So he will be moving to the Sprint Cup Series. This will be his final Xfinity Series race, running for points. He'd like to end it with a championship like he did 2014. Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez making up row 1. Kyle Busch on the inside, Suarez on the outside. Fans are on their feet in Miami. Green flags in the air, we're underway. And already the move to the inside. Austin Dillon in the 33 makes it 3 wide. So many different lines around this racetrack. Progressive banking. 18 degrees at the bottom of the track, all the way up to 20 degrees. Right up next to the wall. Kyle Busch out front. Austin Dillon has moved to second. Daniel Suarez third. Ryan Blaney in the 22 running fourth.
I think these are the times in the race where Chris Buescher and his team are the most nervous. We see how close it is. Already a car into the wall getting into turn 3.
Now Suarez looking to the inside. Ryan Blaney goes to the top of the track, trying to take third away.
And that's the question. I'm waiting to see how long until the leaders move to the top of the track. It seems like the bottom of the racetrack is decent on new tires, but as the tires wear and they're out of the throttle longer, they seem to migrate towards the higher bank angle, which is up next to the wall.
Suarez with a good run at the bottom of the track as he drifts up right in front of Ryan Blaney. Takes third back. Brian Scott just behind him in the 2. Then the 20 of Eric Jones. He had been filling in for Matt Kenseth for the past 2 weeks in the Sprint Cup Series. Won a Truck Series championship last evening. And now fighting in the Xfinity Series.
We saw early in the race how aggressive everybody was. Look at J.J. Yeley. This is early. Lap 2. Already in the wall in the middle of 3 and 4. Trying to get there a little bit too soon.
Staying side by side. Ryan Sieg in the 39. Daniel Suarez back to the bottom of the track, trying to get by that 33 of Austin Dillon. Chris Buescher in the 60. He mentioned on the radio what he needed to do. Keep his closest competitors in sight.
That's the kind of sight he wants. He wants them all in the rearview mirror. So he's right now, he's in front of him. He's in a very comfortable place. Nobody right in front of him, nobody right behind him. If you're Chris Buescher, in my opinion, this is the view you want to see all day long.
Crew chief 3 pit stops. If it goes green the whole way, you'll only have to come to pit road 3 times. If we have cautions, tires very important.
Yeah, we know we're going to have a lot of competition yellow at lap 25. So the real question is, you're going to put a set of tires on there, but that actually shortens up the rest of the race. It's not a very long run here in Miami, so you're going to have to manage your tires wisely. When do you put on the sets here in the Xfinity Series with that tire limit? tire management on pit road can be as important as on the racetrack.
Ryan Blaney trying to stay in front of Eric Jones. As the top of the racetrack looks more and more appealing as the laps continue to run.
This is the battle we're going to see for years to come. Blaney, Larson, Jones all battling right here for 5th place, 4th place. So you're going to see this for a long time in NASCAR racing.
A lot of youth right there between those 3 cars. Kyle Larson in the 42 trying to make the move at the bottom of the track. Wasn't able to complete the pass. Kyle Larson, 23 years of age. Ryan Blaney in the 22, 21 years old. And Eric Jones just 19.
And that's a perfect example. You see the 42 of Kyle Larson. He can beat a couple of these guys to the middle of the corner. Right there, he's clearly underneath the 20 of Eric Jones. But on corner exit, just the momentum. Eric Jones is going to have so much more momentum off the top side. He's going to easily clear the 42 down the backstretch.
Ryan Blaney trying to close in on Monterrey, Mexico's Daniel Suarez as Kyle Busch leads in Miami. Welcome back to Miami. The first caution came out on lap 10. It was the 74 of Tim Vines. First time starting in the Xfinity Series. And as he was running the bottom of the track, Kyle Larson trying to go between he and Daniel Suarez, and around goes Tim Vines. We'll be right back. You can get all the latest race news, results, and highlights from this championship weekend delivered straight to your inbox. Subscribe for free to the official NASCAR newsletter at NASCAR.com/newsletter. 4 drivers with a shot at the title. Chris Buescher currently running 10th. He is not only leading in the points, but is the highest scored point contender. Field all in line between Kyle Busch on the high side, Austin Dillon on the bottom of the track. Green flags back in the air. Eric Jones behind his mentor, Kyle Busch. If it wasn't for Kyle Busch, Eric Jones may still be running local tracks around the country. Kyle Busch racing against Eric Jones a few years back in the Snowball Derby. And Eric Jones beat Kyle Busch in that race. It opened Kyle Busch's eyes and said, this young man has an incredible amount of talent. Next thing you know, he hired him, put him behind the wheel of his truck. And last night, Eric Jones won the Camping World Truck Series championship for Kyle Busch.
See all the different lines the drivers pick on these restarts. You know, you don't want to be right behind somebody. Aerodynamically, when you're behind somebody, your car drives worse than it would if you're in clean air. So drivers are going to try to go where other cars aren't, and this racetrack allows the drivers to do that.
Restarts are always going to be hairy, especially when you come to Homestead-Miami Speedway. Take a look at this last one.
See Ryan Segan at 39, Elliott trying to get on the outside. They're 4 wide. 39 probably doesn't know he's there. They get together, make contact. See right there, contact. You see it actually bent the left front fender on the 9 car.
1 to 7 only.
Here's a 7 car. He was a little bit of contact with the 1 in the wall. The thing, these restarts, they're just crazy. You have to be aggressive. You have to go sometimes and put your car in a position you don't really want it to be in. But if you're not aggressive, you're going to lose spots, and that's what makes this racetrack so interesting. And one thing I want to mention, Ryan Sieg in the middle of all that. You know, here's a small team competing against larger teams. They're doing a really good job. Started 16th and has worked his way up to the top 10.
Ryan Sieg, young man out of Tucker, Georgia. Single car team, and Ryan Sieg really putting on a performance to end the season. One of the things that we'll have to keep our eye on with Chase Elliott was that left rear tire, because when the car came up, got into him, it at least scrubbed the lettering off of Chase Elliott's car. As you see a little bit of wiggle there out of the 7 of Regan Smith.
Yeah, it looked like to me it was fender damage on Chase Elliott's car. It looked like there was damage just above the tire. It'll be interesting to see if he has trouble with that as this race goes on. We can see there's a 9 car. The fender's actually been in. There's a gap between the hood and the fender. That aerodynamically, that is not what you want to see.
That's a lot of damage. You see behind the left front tire how much it's damaged back there. That is definitely going to hurt this car. I'm concerned actually right above the tire. It looks like the fender could be split. If that blows down, makes contact with that left front tire, he can have a pretty severe rub.
Look at Ryan Sieg making a pass. Regan Smith, I mean, you know, he's going after big-time teams here. Good for them.
Ryan Sieg, a 28-year-old, Tucker, Georgia, and he falls in line just behind championship contender Chris Buescher. Now Ryan Sieg trying to get by Chris Buescher. For more on the 60, Marty.
Chris Buescher said under that last caution, Rick, he was happy with how the car fired off. He told the crew, we can certainly work with that. You know what's funny? He's going to be on the stage no matter what at the Miami banquet tomorrow night. Until a couple weeks ago, he didn't even own a suit. I asked him why not. He said, I've been an outdoorsman my whole life. I've never needed a suit until right now. Kelly?
Regan Smith, who just made the move to get around Chris Buescher, qualified 14th, but he told me he didn't feel like that was indicative of the car they would have for the race. He said he was kind of like a fluke. Well, early reports, he said it's just too loose everywhere, but the nose is a little bit too tight to run up tight, and they've checked out the damage from that scrape on the wall, said no big deal, it's all right. Mike?
Kelly, we've documented the damage to the 9 car of Chase Elliott. So far, though, nothing has been said over the radio either by crew chief Ernie Cope or the driver, Chase Elliott. Right now, the only thing that Chase has said about the race car is that it has been extremely loose. They contemplated coming down pit road under that last caution, but debated and decided it wasn't a good idea right now, but they're going to tighten it up next time down. Dave?
After the first handful of laps, Ty Dillon reported that his car was not in the track at all. Loose in, tight center, loose off. He was told to get in a rhythm and was reminded that they have a caution coming up for the competition caution very soon. He just reported it's a little better. Rick?
And look at this, 3 wide. Chase Elliott making the move on the inside of Ryan Sieg. So maybe that damage to the left side of the car not as bad as he's been able to get by 3 cars.
In this battle for ninth, what we've seen happen is
pretty impressive.
a driver will go to the bottom. Watch Regan as he goes to the bottom of the racetrack. If he can make this pass work, all is great. But if he can't make it work, then the guys on the outside have so much momentum he can't keep his position. So sometimes you always want to be trying to make a pass, but sometimes if you try too hard, you actually lose spots. And that's one thing again that's unique about this racetrack, knowing when to go to the bottom. Here we go, Ryan Sieg. He's going to try to get underneath the 9 on the bottom, see if he can pull it off.
And Chris Buescher, the 4th car in line, he's riding back there, just kind of watching. I don't think he wants any part to do with this battle. He's just kind of hanging out, turns underneath the 7. The 7 has momentum. He lets him go. As long as he can see his points contenders, then he's fine.
Closing in on the competition caution, scheduled to come up around lap 25. NASCAR has told the competitors in the drivers' meeting early this afternoon. Chris Buescher, as you mentioned, I want to see my competitors. Keep them in sight so that I know exactly what I have to do to win this championship. Every position on the track is worth a point. Chris Buescher entered this race with an 18-point lead. Regan Smith just in front of that 60 of Chris Buescher. Kyle Larson's closing the gap between he and Kyle Busch for the race lead. Will he take it away? He slides in front of the 54, but the crossover move. Here comes Kyle Busch back to the bottom of the racetrack.
Did you see how far he drove it in the corner? He just drove it in the corner, trying to cross over, he knew he wasn't going to be able to stay on the bottom. He just tried to use that momentum, get in front of Kyle to see if he could stay there. That was an aggressive move.
And now Kyle Larson, after catching the 54 and able to get by Kyle Busch for just a moment, falls back to second, 0.4 of a second behind race leader Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, a dominant Xfinity Series driver, won a championship in the Xfinity Series, has the most wins of all time by Xfinity Series drivers at 76. And the caution has come out. The competition caution that NASCAR let the drivers know about. Now they will be able to come onto pit road. They will be able to add fuel, change 4 tires if they want, make any adjustments to the cars.
And some tracks we run at, there might be a question mark after 25 laps whether you change tires or not. Homestead-Miami, there's 0 question. 4 Goodyear tires will be required by all these front teams. They'll make adjustments, try to continue on.
So the first segment of the race, 25 laps, Chris Buescher doing exactly what he needs to do.
Oh, no question. You know, no contact with anybody. He was aggressive when he needed to be. He was smart up the entire time. So, yeah, if he could take the whole rest of the race and do just that, he would be happy.
Carlos Contreras in the 15 was 2 laps down. He is the highest scored non-lead lap car. And Carlos, running 36, will get a lap back. He scored 2 laps down, 26 laps into this race. 200 scheduled laps, 300 miles for the Xfinity Series. The reason for the competition caution, showers have been passing through the area the past 2 days because the jet dryers, Air Titans, were on the track clearing off the moisture. They were also getting rid of some of the rubber that was put down. So NASCAR wants to make sure that the tire wear is noticed by all of the crew members. And these teams will look closely at how these tires have worn. And now the field on its way down pit road. Marty?
Chris Buescher said his car started nice, but then it went tight. He hits pit road running 12th. He said, I could move around to help it, but we need to free it up. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires, half a round up on the track bar, Kelly.
Regan Smith saying that he's just loose in it and through most of the corner. The nose is tight, and he's worried that there's more damage to that right rear and that they might need to pull out that fender a little bit more. 4 tires, Mike.
And the 9 team going to work on the car. They're going to take a quick look at that left front fender. They're going to try to straighten it out as much as they can. Also tighten it up with a track bar adjustment. 4 tires and fuel for Chase Elliott. Dave?
Ty Dillon comes in 14th. He's promised a chassis adjustment. We will take a swing at it. They get that. 4 Goodyear tires and a Phillips Sunoco fuel to see if they can help Ty go forward this next run.
The race off pit road brought to you by Geico. Kyle Busch holds his position, as does Kyle Larson. 3 spots for Ryan Blaney on pit road. RaceView Premium is free this weekend when you visit NASCAR.com/trial. Get access to 3D virtual video, in-car audio, real-time driver stats, and advanced pit road data. Visit NASCAR.com/trial to start following your favorite driver like never before. 4 championship contenders. Regan Smith now in front of the 4, running 9th. Chris Buescher running 10th. Ty Dillon and Chase Elliott 11th and 18th. Chase Elliott, though, on his pit stop, they had the damage to the left front of that car. So when Chase Elliott came onto pit road, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, you see the top of the fender's broken above the tire and it's damaged behind the tire. You see the crew member kicking on the sheet metal a little bit. I'm actually surprised they didn't take more time, put some Bear Bond on it, fix this fender. We're still early with 171 to go. I believe if I was the crew chief of the 9, we would have stopped, took a little more time, and repaired that fender for the long run.
He came in running 9th, and he will restart 18th. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch on the outside, Larson on the inside. We're back to racing in Miami. Restart so difficult as they go through 1 and 2. Kyle Larson. What an impressive restart for Kyle. Gets in front of Kyle Busch. Ryan Blaney running third, 3 wide behind them. Brian Scott in the 2, surging ahead of the 33 of Austin Dillon. Eric Jones in the 20 up against the wall. Chris Buescher back there in the 60. See a little bit of precipitation on the camera lens there as they were running through 3 and 4. That also could become a factor in today's race. In the 9 of Chase Elliott came in 9th, went back out 18th. They did a little bit of work to the 9, but maybe not enough. The 18 or running 18th was the 9 of Chase Elliott's. And Mike, what did they do on that pit stop?
As you saw, Rick, they tried to straighten it out. One of the crew members using his foot to try to kick it in a little bit and straighten it out, and while using his hands trying to pull it away from the tire. After he pulled away, Ernie Cope gave a pretty detailed description to Chase as to what the damage was. And of course, Chase wanted to know a little bit more. This is what he asked.
All that fender and stuff like you want it, did we take enough time to do it, or is it? Yeah, it's about 90% there, Chase. I think it's good enough now where you should be fine.
And so far during the course of this run, Rick, he has not said anything about the balance of the car. However, as we see now, a challenge for the lead. Kyle Busch battling with Kyle Larson. Obviously, that takes precedent over what's going on with the 9 car as this battle for the lead continues, Rick.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, it wasn't much of a challenge for Busch to get by Larson, but we saw Larson coming out of turn 4 and actually brushed up against the wall coming out of 4. Right rear quarter panel right up against the wall.
Going back to our championship contender Chase Elliott in the 9. I disagree. 90% is not what this team needs. They need to go out, lead lap, and win the race. But no one wants damage, but with these many laps, with 166 laps to go, they need to use that opportunity in the competition yellow to stop and repair that fender back to 100%. They know what's in front of them. They can't have a good run here today. They have to have a great run and put pressure on Chris Buescher.
I want to know if Chase Elliott got out of the car and looked at it, did he feel like that was 90% fixed? Because it doesn't look 90% to me.
As a driver, can you even see that front fender?
No, you can't see that at all. I have no idea.
Mentioned that Kyle Larson got in the wall. What about Ben Rhodes in the 88? Also running very high.
It's like almost like Ben got loose getting in the corner and just couldn't turn the wheel, keep it off the wall, and ended up getting on the wall. And again, we've talked about it before. These walls kind of suck your car into it. It's hard to get it off of it, but it looked like that trouble actually started on corner entry a little bit.
Chase Elliott started the race second in the points, 18 back from Chris Buescher. Now you see the championship points on the left side of your screen as they run. 21 points back. Now it's Ty Dillon. Dillon has moved to second in the points. A little bobble there by Brian Scott in the 2.
Yeah, the 2 looks free right there for sure.
Daniel Suarez in the 18. Suarez in his first full season in the Xfinity Series. Kyle Larson just in front of Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney in the 21 was made official yesterday. He will drive the Wood Brothers 21 for the entire 2016 season.
And what an honor to drive for the Wood Brothers. Their return to racing in full-time Sprint Cup Series has been a limited schedule for a long time. If you're going to come and you're going to have your first year run for Rookie of the Year, what a great honor to drive for the Wood Brothers when you do that.
Ryan Blaney, another one of the young drivers right out of High Point, North Carolina, 21 years old. Great opportunity. The legendary team. Chase Elliott, problems early in this race, was looking to defend his title, but early on, left front damage, and now they're trying to stay in the top 20. Welcome back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Ford EcoBoost 300. Tomorrow, Sunday Night Football, live from Glendale, Arizona, as the 8-1 Bengals take on the 7-2 Cardinals. And Thanksgiving night on NBC, Green Bay is going to retire Brett Favre's number 4 when the Bears face the Packers at Lambeau Field. 45 laps into a 200-lap race. Kyle Busch in front of Kyle Larson. Eric Jones trying to stay in front of Ryan Blaney. Eric Jones in the 20. That rookie stripe. The back bumper. Ryan Blaney up the track just behind him. The gap between Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson eliminated. Kyle Busch will run the high line. Kyle Larson will take the lead away. Can he hang on to it, though? We've seen the move before. Once again, the surge by the 54 of Kyle Busch, and Busch back out front.
We'll see if Kyle Larson tries to drive to the bottom. We'll stay on top this lap.
And this all started because they caught traffic a lap ago getting into turn 3. As they caught some lap cars down the backstretch, there were decisions to be made. Kyle Busch made a decision to go to the bottom, and Kyle Larson squeezed his way around the top. And that helped the 42 run down the 54.
Amazingly enough, Kyle Busch, once a young star of NASCAR,
on a hell of a show.
now running for a championship in the Sprint Cup Series. He will try to win his first title tomorrow here on NBC. Kyle Larson, one of the young Cup stars in his sophomore season in the Cup Series. So close to getting that first win, but how about how close it was going through the lap traffic here for Kyle Larson?
Absolutely. Kyle Busch took the safer approach, which is go to the bottom of the racetrack where there's some clean racetrack, got by those guys. The 42, though, committed to the top, squeezed around the top, and look at the momentum it carried compared to the 54.
Kyle Busch trying to check out now on Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch, at one point in time, was denied the ability to race in NASCAR because he was too young. He started off running in the Truck Series, and then at the age of 17, a rule was made that you had to be 18 to run in the top 3 series of NASCAR. So Kyle Busch had to take a few races off until he turned 18 and was able to get back behind the wheel of one of the trucks. With more on the 42 of Kyle Larson, Dave.
Even though he's never won at this track, Rick, Kyle Larson has been a measuring stick all weekend by other drivers and teams. Hey, is the 24 move to the, or the 42 move to the top yet? Is the 42 running the high line? Everybody always wants to know because Kyle is so good at it. Now, it comes at a risk. He does get into the wall on occasion, as he did earlier, but right now says everything's okay with the car. Kelly?
Prior to last night's truck race, Eric Jones had never raced here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. He finished 6th last night, which was good enough to win that series championship. He became the youngest champion in that series history, the first rookie to do it, but right now he's got a car that is plowing through the center and not working on exit, sliding out, Mike.
Well, Kelly, unlike Jones, Ryan Blaney has run an Xfinity Series race here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. In fact, it was a year ago with the same crew chief, Greg Irwin. He was in the 12 car then, had a pretty good run too, led 24 laps and came in with a sense of confidence because of that run. He's had a pretty good race car, although he's been a little bit loose. Rick?
Coming up on lap traffic, they will have to negotiate through it, and Kyle Busch stays up at the top of the track. And with the momentum, can he get by David Starr in the 44?
42 tried to do a slide job, but couldn't get up in front of the 54. They split. David Starr in the 44 ended up still 1-2 off the corner.
And how about if you're David Starr in the 44 and you're up there and somebody says outside? And the spotter yells outside. You're like, nobody's outside of me. Well, guess what? It's a leader on the outside of you.
There's not enough room on the outside. Oh, yes, there is. And here comes Kyle Busch. Right past that 44 of David Starr and still running 1 and 2. Kyle Busch up front. Here's what he had to say on the radio just moments ago.
What does the accordion have? Where does he gain? Vice versa? And it's about even up right now. If it's tit for tat, he may gain a little bit, just rolling even up into the center. It's like he starts feeding the throttle just a titch sooner, gets the momentum rolling. He can make up a couple feet, but then if he's going to put any wheel to it, it evens up late.
Kyle Busch, that's the accordion. What he means is as these cars circle the track. He's seen it before. The car behind you will gain a little bit, and then you pull away a little bit, kind of like an accordion works. He wanted to know where he was gaining, where he was losing to the 42.
It's close to they're running to the wall. Who's the first one's going to hit it? I mean, eventually somebody's going to have to get into the wall.
Right up against the wall at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Kyle Busch is in front. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by the new 2016 Ford Escape. Be unstoppable. And by XFINITY. X1 from XFINITY will change the way you experience TV. Championship contenders running between 8th and 13th. All very close. Chris Buescher now has what he wanted. He wants to be able to see all of his title contenders, and they're just in front of him. Kelly.
Coming into this race, Regan Smith was 24 points outside of the championship lead. When I asked him how he was feeling, he said, yeah, I'm feeling good. I want to know how those other three guys are feeling. They're the ones with the pressure. Our mission is clear. We need to go out there and win this race. Right now, he's too loose, entry and exit, tight through the middle, Dave.
Every driver wants to mash the gas, Kelly, and right when Ty Dillon wants to do that 3/4 of the way through the corner, the car wants to push toward the wall. They've got to fix it, Mike.
Chase Elliott, as far as things being fixed, the fender is their biggest concern on the left front. A little bit of damage there early in the race. He hasn't said too much since the restart. He restarted 17th. He's now up to 11th. Still saying he's looking for some rear grip. Marty?
Mike, Chris Buescher, the championship leader, in 12th right now. He said the car just too tight when he gets back to the gas, not reacting the way he wants to. They plan a wedge adjustment on the next stop. Who has he leaned on for a little championship advice? How about his teammate, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who has won 2 Xfinity Series championships. His biggest piece of advice, just worry about the 60 car, and you'll be fine. Rick?
Thanks, Marty. Everyone is looking at the 60 of Chris Buescher. What is Chris Buescher doing? Well, he's doing exactly what he has to do to win this championship. Keeping his closest competitors in sight as Kyle Larson looked to the bottom of the track trying to take the lead away from Kyle Busch. Couldn't do it.
It's all about lap traffic, Rick. As these cars catch the slower cars, where are they able to pass? Do they have to get off the top of the racetrack? The 54 and the 42 want to run right here right against the wall, but as they catch lap traffic, they have to make those decisions. We've seen already where the 42 committed to the high line, the 54 went low, and how they ended up off the corner.
Kyle Larson is very good in the Xfinity Series at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 2 races that he has started here, he's led the most laps in both of those starts. 2013 and 2014, finished second and third. Second in 2013, third in 2014. And once again into the traffic. Kyle Busch goes way to the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Larson stays up top, keeps that momentum.
That is going to kill Kyle Busch's momentum. Let's see if Kyle Larson can take advantage of it as he enters turn 1. Can Kyle get on the outside of him? Can he get on the outside of the lap car? That's the question.
Oh, here
all the way up against the wall. Here comes Kyle Larson. He's got to run. What will he do with it as he gets to the back bumper of Kyle Busch?
He's going to clear easily into the corner and slide up in front of him and take the top.
Takes the clean air away from Kyle Busch. Will he retaliate and go to the bottom?
What a smart move, not to try to go to the bottom of the racetrack, just to clear him and protect the top line. So many drivers would have cleared him and gone to the bottom and given Kyle Busch the outside of the momentum, but Larson didn't do that. He just went by him and immediately went to the outside and took the line that Kyle Busch wanted. Nice move.
Kyle Busch down to the bottom of the racetrack where there's not as much banking and slides back up the racetrack.
But now Kyle Larson has the decision. The 88's not leaving the top. That's going to force the 42 off from the top lane. And the 54, he's going to run the top back there and try to get the momentum behind the 88 who gets into the wall.
88 of Ben Rhodes. We saw him brush the wall earlier, and once again, saw that 88 into the wall as he's running right up against the outside of this racetrack. Kyle Larson, new leader at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Tomorrow you've got the opportunity to experience the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship from a very interesting point of view with NBCSN Hot Pads. The final 4 drivers, you get to ride along with them, listen into the radio, all the communication. That's on NBCSN tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. guess what? Chris Buescher in the 60. The point leader in the Xfinity Series just went a lap down. That's the kind of pace that Kyle Larson is setting now. Kyle Larson's even pulling away from Kyle Busch. He has a 2.5-second lead over Kyle Busch. Chris Buescher's a lap down. Ty Dillon will be the next championship contender to go a lap down.
Kyle Larson is setting such a pace. Jeff, you said it. Which one was going to get to the wall first? Answer's clear. 54 Kyle Busch. You see he closes in close to the 42. Right here gets a little too high on the exit of 4. As you said, the wall kind of just draws him in. Didn't look like he made heavy contact, but definitely made contact. Here's what the 54 had to say about that.
Yeah, and flatten the right side out, more so behind the numbers, right rear. Tighten it up for us, so don't worry about tightening it up.
I believe that was an attempt at humor out of Kyle Busch. I tightened it up for us.
I think, and he's being somewhat serious. Perhaps he was too free, telling his crew chief, hey, I need to be tighter, I need to be tighter. Look, I just made contact with the wall. The car is now tighter, so don't make adjustments.
And we'll see if that tighter condition can help the 54 of Kyle Busch, as he's now 2 seconds behind Kyle Larson. And only 12 cars on the lead lap. Darrell Wallace Jr. fighting to stay on the lead lap. There's the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. Green flag stops will be coming up.
Back at Homestead-Miami Speedway, the 3-car of Ty Dillon, championship contender, has been on pit road. His car was extremely loose off the corner. He felt like he needed to come in for an adjustment right away. The teams are checking the tires as he goes away. So far, everything looks good. 2-car, his teammate, Brian Scott, on pit road as well. It got looser over this long run. They'll make a 4 Goodyear tire change and fill his car full of Sunoco fuel.
Brendan Gaughan headed down pit road for his service now. Team going to work on the right side. You can see a chassis adjustment being made on the right side. Also a 4-tire change for Gaughan. Kelly.
Regan Smith started out too loose, but he scraped the wall for a second time, which he said tightened him up a bit. Now you're going to see they'll make a chassis adjustment. It'll be 4 tires and Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Kelly, your championship leader, Chris Buescher, went down a lap there, was running 12th when he came to pit road. He said the car was just way too tight. When he would get back to the gas, it wouldn't turn. Round and a half of wedge out, trying to loosen it up, Dave.
Kyle Larson's car has been tight on throttle. When he goes back to the gas, that 42 wants to creep towards the wall. So they'll give him 4 tires and adjustment and Sunoco fuel. Mike.
Chase Elliott coming down pit road as well for his service now. He's been dealing with a little bit of a loose race car, searching for rear grip. They made an air pressure adjustment, or they're expected to make an air pressure adjustment this time down pit road. They may look at that left front fender once again. That is far from perfect, as they will take a quick glance at it, tear away on the windshield as well as they go to service on the right side and now swing around to the left side. 4 tires. Kelly?
Bubba Wallace won a truck race here a year ago. He's been working his way through the field after starting 21st, but he's looking for more grip. They made an adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Meanwhile, young Eric Jones said that he was getting a little too loose in and off the turns. His middle was fine. It'll be 4 tires and Sunoco fuel, as well as an air pressure adjustment for Eric Jones, who was running inside the top 3.
Kyle Busch has done more of this race than anybody else. He now brings a 54 car down pit road. Remember, he said, I made an adjustment on the car already, guys. I tapped the wall, so I've tightened it up a little bit. So right now they're going to make another adjustment, chassis adjustment in the car for him as it is. 4 Goodyear tires and another fill of Sunoco fuel for Kyle.
Eric Almirola, another driver that has had contact with the wall, he said that he thinks that has made him a little bit too tight. He has a little damage on the right front fender. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for the Cup Series regular Eric Almirola.
And looks as though a wheel got away from one team. Saw a few teams working on the right front fender, trying to pull away the fender from the tire. Race leader is Kyle Larson after green flag pit stops are cycling through. And after those pit stops have cycled through, a huge gap between Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. It's now 6 seconds. When they started green flag pit stops, it was just 2 seconds that separated the top 2.
And a lot of that is Kyle Busch chose to come 2 laps later than Kyle Larson. And these cars are running as much as 1.5 to 2 seconds slower on old tires. So for every lap Kyle Busch stayed on the racetrack, it cost him probably 1.5 seconds to Kyle Larson. 2 laps, that's 3 or 4 seconds. Now he's 5.5 seconds back.
And also in all that exchange, Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon, they're both now a lap down. Chase Elliott is ahead of Ty Dillon, so if the caution were to come out right now, Chase would get the free pass. So this is a tight battle right here. Both these guys need to stay in a lead lap. So Ty is going to do everything he can to get back in front of Chase.
That loose wheel was from the 98 team of Eric Almirola. Also, the 18 had a loose wheel. Daniel Suarez. 98 was 8th, and Daniel Suarez was 5th. Kelly had mentioned the damage for Regan Smith. This is how it happened.
He just up against the wall. We've seen it. This is the second time we've seen Regan Smith in the wall, and you know, it just once you get into it, it just kind of sucks you in. It. You hear all of them talk about now they're tighter. After they get into the wall, they're tighter. That's just the body damage. Aerodynamically, it makes the car tighter. Every single one of them, without exception, said it made them tighter. Having said all that, Regan Smith is the only championship contender that is in the lead lap. So if he can get a caution and stay in this lead lap, that could be a big break. He could have a chance to pick up a lot of spots.
I will tell you, it's only a matter of time, though, for Regan Smith. He's 32 seconds behind Kyle Larson. That's about 200 feet in front of him. Today's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Taking advantage of those Goodyears. 42 of Kyle Larson, but Regan Smith once again struggling to stay off the wall. This isn't a replay of what we showed you before. This is once again into the wall for Regan Smith, one of the championship contenders. Regan Smith running 7th. And that time it seemed like a little bit harder into the wall. This is what they had to say.
Yeah, buddy, right front's fine. It's just basically quarter panel. It's just scraped.
TJ Majors, a spotter, just letting them know what the car looks like. Sometimes I'll actually ask the driver, because you can't see the right side of the car anywhere around this racetrack. They'll ask your driver, hey, off turn 4, run the middle lane on the front stretch. Move down a lane, get away from the front stretch wall. It doesn't cost you any time, but it allows the spotter, who's on top of the roof on the front straightaway, to look at the right side of the race car.
And Regan Smith running 7th, the top of the championship competitors. All now of the championship competitors are a lap down. There are only 5 cars on the lead lap. That's the pace that Kyle Larson is setting. A lot of craziness taking place on pit road. This last time by, you see a little bit of damage to the left front fender of the 51 of Jeremy Clements, and making his 200th start in the Xfinity Series. This is not what you want to have happen when you leave pit road. Uncontrolled tire for Jeremy Clements. How does that happen? Because you know that the front tire changer thought that he hit lugs.
No, I don't think he did. What happens is that it's Jack Mann's responsibility to drop the car when he sees both tire changers done. What can happen is if the front tire changer gets so far behind, you're actually exactly half the process off. What I mean is the rear tire changer is finishing tightening. The front tire changer gets the new tire, but hasn't gone back in to start hitting lug nuts. The Jackman in a glance sees the tire changer still lean back. He's leaned back because he hasn't even started. The Jackman doesn't know that. He thinks he's finished. They drop the jack.
And off comes the left front wheel for Jeremy Clements.
And during that entire exchange, watch the guys right here. He's saying, no, don't go. He knew they weren't tight. He knew it. He was trying to tell them, but the jack fell. And when the jack falls, the driver goes. That is the key. Jack falls, driver goes. He doesn't know if the wheel is tight or not. He just got to roll.
Kyle Larson has a 5.6 second lead over second place Kyle Busch. Let's go through the field. We start with Dave Burns.
And Rick, Mike Shiplett, his crew chief, was so happy to report that they were using that fast car from Texas here this weekend. He said, we expect to contend for the win, and guess what? They are leading this race. Kyle Busch is in his rearview mirror, albeit 5+ seconds back. They made an adjustment that last time to try to help Kyle Busch, and we'll see if he can get back to the point. Remember, Kyle hasn't won here since 2009. That's a long time for Kyle Busch, Kelly.
Eric Jones been running a partial season. His crew chief, Mike Wheeler, says one of his biggest areas of improvement is his communication. He stays positive on the radio, helps come up with a solution instead of just complaining about his car conditions right now, saying a little bit loose in and off the turns, although his middle is fine, running in the top 3, Mike.
You know, Kelly, because this tire is the same one that was used at Texas just a few weeks ago, Austin Dillon's crew chief, Danny Stockman, was quite optimistic coming into this race. He said he learned something in Texas, a track where they led 54 laps. Because of that, they came with a similar mentality when it came to setup here. It seems to be working. He's been running in the top 5 all day long, just a little bit loose off. Dave?
Brian Scott just got lapped by Kyle Larson, but they said, stay with it. You're the lucky dog right now. And if we can get that free pass, we can get back on the lead lap with a very fast race car. Mike?
Ryan Blaney's been pretty happy with his race car. Although he is a lap down, he still feels like the balance is pretty decent, especially after making adjustments last time down pit road. They made a wedge adjustment on the left side. That tightened up the car quite a bit. Meanwhile, one of the championship contenders, the defending title holder, of course, that's Chase Elliott. He suffered damage to that left front fender, but it has not affected him as much as you might expect. He came over the radio not too long ago telling Ernie Cope, he said, hey, we're not too bad right now. We just need to get track position. Kelly?
This will be Regan Smith's last race with this team, and he doesn't have a ride for next year. His crew chief telling me everyone on this team likes and respects him so much. We think he deserves a ride. We want to finish strong, not for us, But for him, well, he's hit the wall a third time, and now he's saying he's just too tight to the wall, too tight to the middle. Dave?
All the tires look good off of Ty Dillon's car. They told him, we'll keep swinging down here on pit road, but you need to stand on it. Trying to get to a championship is a driver of the 3, Marty.
Dave, Chris Buescher still in championship position, in the 10th position right now. He will win the Xfinity Series championship if he runs here. The car is still too tight, but he did tell the crew the car is much better on this run. Likely doing another year of Xfinity for Chris Buescher next year, and he said earlier this week, I'm fine with that. I'm not in a hurry to get to the Cup Series. When I make that move, I want it to be the right move. Rick?
And Marty, Austin Dillon running 4th. He's the last car on the lead lap. Only 4 cars on the lead lap. The fewest cars on lead laps at finish, 9. That's happened 3 times. That could change today as Kyle Larson continues to lead from Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 23-year-old out of Prosper, Texas, Chris Buescher, came into the championship race with an 18-point lead, looking for his first title and doing everything he has to do to claim the championship in the Xfinity Series. You look at downtown Miami, Florida. Racing in southern Florida to conclude the 2015 season. And we've passed the halfway point, 94 laps to go. Kyle Larson continuing to lead. He has almost an 8-second lead over Kyle Busch. There are only 4 cars on the lead lap. Austin Dillon about to go a lap down, and he is running 4th.
So this was a new car that they built going to Texas. It dominated the race. They were leading the race, had a left rear tire go down late in the race. They've repaired it, and they brought it here. Now, this is an example of a team making an investment, building a new car, and getting some benefit in it. And this, you have to build new cars. You have to be moving forward all the time. Now, every team on pit road is saying to their car owner, see, we need new cars.
Right.
And
right.
that is what you have to do. You have to build a car, and then you have to assume that the next one you're going to obsolete the one you just built. That's how you have to move forward as a race team.
And while we were talking about this, the 9 of Chase Elliott, He's done a great job recovering from the damage on the left front fender up to 6, but much like a lot of competitors we've seen, a little too high on the racetrack, gets into the wall a little bit. I'm going to rename this. I feel like it's like the Homestead-Miami stripe. I feel like we are at Darlington. There's more cars running the top here than any other racetrack we go to anymore. But I love your point about that 42 car, Jeff. That's exactly what all these teams are talking about. New cars seem to always be better. Mike?
And yeah, he's pretty happy with his race car despite the damage, Steve. In fact, Ernie Cope just radioed back to him and just told him just how good he is. Listen up.
Hey, you're second fastest car on the track right now, Chase. The only thing faster than you is the 42. I'm telling you, man, we can get him. Just got to go to the lead lap here. I'm telling you, we got a shot. Yeah, 10-4.
And this recovery by Chase Elliott, we talked about this at the top of the show. Make Chris Buescher think about it. Chris Buescher currently running 10th. Feels okay with it, but if this 9 can get back on the lead lap and starts contending for the win, that puts the pressure on Chris Buescher. It's one thing to ride around in 10th, but if Chase Elliott's leading the race, you make one slip, lose 2 or 3 spots, you can lose the championship.
And so when you're watching at home, you're like, why these guys keep hitting the wall? I mean, if you hit it once, why hit it again? The reason why is because there is speed running 1 inch from the wall versus running 8 inches from the wall. The closer you can get to the wall, the more grip is. It is better the closer you get. So all these drivers, they know they have to get right against it. And every now and then when you're that close, you're going to overshoot it. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to get into it. But if you want to run fast, you have to be there. That's where Chris Buescher, he may not be running great today. He's still running 10th. But can he afford to get into the wall? He's going to give himself the foot, the 18 inches. Where Chase Elliott and these guys, they're going to give themselves 4 or 5 inches because they're here to win this race.
For an update on Chris Buescher, Marty.
Still in championship position to win the Xfinity Series championship. And to get to this point, Rick, to win a championship on this level, it takes sacrifice. Let me introduce to you Jim and Donna Buescher. Those are Chris's parents. And imagine Jim's surprise when he asked Chris at age 12, son, do you want to play baseball or football? He said, I want to race, Dad. He said, no, let me ask you again. Do you want to play baseball or do you want to play football? He said, I really want to race, Dad. So they put him in a Legends car. He won over 100 races at the Texas Motor Speedway in a Legends car. So then at age 15, he came to his parents and said, I want to move to North Carolina. He didn't have a driver's license at that point, but he moved in with Ken Reagan, who is David Reagan's father, and lived with the Reagans. Getting to this point, it takes a ton of sacrifice. Jeff, you know that. You made it to the highest level of the sport. It takes a lot of sacrifice on a family's behalf. But to let your son move out at 15, that's a big sacrifice.
That's a huge sacrifice, Marty. And, you know, it's amazing how these young drivers, when you go back and track when they started, they all start so young today, and their parents have to support them so much. It has to start from home, and the parents sacrifice so much so their kids can do what they love to do. And when they do that and they go and they're successful, it makes it feel like it was all worthwhile.
The payoff today for the Buescher family. At the end of the day, Chris Buescher could be the Xfinity Series champion. He still leads the points. The caution has come out. Josh Ryu got into the wall in the 40 and brings out just the third caution of the afternoon. And so the caution comes out, and there are 4 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, and Austin Dillon. They are the only ones that can come to pit road when pit road opens the first time. And so they are now on their way onto pit road, led by Kyle Larson. And a big gap between the 4 cars. Kelly.
And it sounds like Eric Jones is having a good time. He said it's fun, but it takes a lot of focus to run up at the wall like that. He said his car's a little bit free on exit, but feels like it needs to be. It's going to be 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Mike?
Crew Chief Danny Stockman took a pretty big swing at the car last time down pit road, putting a rubber in the right rear, but Austin Dillon said that took away front turn. This time they'll make a chassis adjustment, 4 Goodyear tires, and Sunoco race fuel. Dave?
The 42 driver, Kyle Larson, said, my car gave up on entry. It was tighter and tighter through that run, even though he was leading the race by a whole lot. They got a small adjustment for that and a load of Sunoco fuel. The 54 of Kyle Busch was on and off of pit road. He said, I need that car to be a little bit better. Too tight in the center was the call, and they made adjustments.
All right, the question now is, our championship contenders. Chris Buescher, what does he do? What does Chase Elliott do? I stay out. I go for the wave by. I don't care if I have 35 laps in my tires. With only 82 laps to go, you have to make a decision. Make Chris Buescher make a decision. If I'm Chase Elliott, I stay out for the wave around.
If you're Chase Elliott, if you're Regan Smith, if you're Ty Dillon, you stay out. You try to get in the back of the lead lap. But if you're Chris Buescher, you have to pit. You can't afford to take that gamble. However, if you follow everybody else, then you're in the same boat as they are. Even if you finish 20th, they finish 18th, it doesn't matter.
Is anyone going to gamble?
Doesn't look like it.
9 cars are scored 1 lap down. And as you mentioned, Chris Buescher's going to do what his competitors are doing. Marty.
Rick, no question for Chris Buescher and Scott Graves as to whether they were coming to pit road. He said the run was better that time, but it was still tight and, quote, snappy, loose off. And he said, that's what worries me. They're going to go down 1 round on the track bar, Kelly.
Regan Smith said he was loose on entry, tight through the middle, and tight off. Asked for an air pressure adjustment. You see they're having an issue there on the right side of that car. They're also making a chassis adjustment for Regan Smith. Mike?
Elliott real happy with the speed in his race car. Although it's gotten a little bit tight, they're going to try to free him up with an air pressure adjustment, Dave.
Ty Dillon was told pitting is our only snowball's chance. He hit the wall a little bit. They're going to have to fix that right front fender. The car went tight at the end of the run.
As they race off of pit road, Steve, what would have been the smart move there if we get a caution come out quick?
Any of these cars stay out, we'd have caution the next 20 laps, they'd instantly be on the lead lap.
Kyle Larson still leading at Homestead-Miami. Welcome back to Homestead-Miami Speedway and the Xfinity Series Ford EcoBoost 300. Turns 3 and 4. Seems like it has been sucking cars into the wall.
16 hits the 55 a little quicker than he was anticipating. Got in his back of it. 55 did a great job not getting into the wall.
The onboard here with Regan Smith. He's gotten to the wall a few times in the middle of 3 and 4. Even Kyle Busch running in the second position got a little too high and caught the fence.
This continues on as Chase Elliott trying to get right against the wall where the maximum grip is. It's a little too high, gets in the wall. Another victim of the day.
He didn't want to be left out.
I don't think anybody does.
All the other championship contenders have been tagging the wall. As we look at the 4, all within striking distance at the start of this race. What about the strategy that just played out on pit road?
I'm frustrated, Rick. I understand Chase Elliott deciding to pit. He's currently in 6th, has the chance to race for the lucky dog. But Ty Dillon, Regan Smith, why not stay out with 79 laps to go? Why strategy says that might not be the smartest thing to do? It's time for an aggressive pass. It's time for a Hail Mary. They need to do something to try to gain points. Staying 1 lap down with points leader Chris Buescher, I think they're eliminating their own chance to win this championship.
Chris Buescher finishes 13th in this race. It doesn't matter what any of his competitors do. He's going to end up winning the championship. Now they're 2-by-2 once again. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Larson on the inside, Kyle Busch on the outside. Green flag back in the air. Kyle Larson with an impressive restart. Jumps out to the front. We've seen Kyle Busch have a better short run car and Kyle Larson have a better long run car. Kyle Larson has led 60 laps. Kyle Busch has led 62. Just 77 laps to go in the 2015 Xfinity Series season. The 4 championship contenders all 1 lap down. Austin Dillon in the 33, Eric Jones in the 20. The fuel window close to 60 laps, anywhere from 58 to 62 laps. They will have to come back to pit road at least 1 more time. As Austin Dillon continues to work on young Eric Jones. Eric Jones keeping the momentum up in the 20 on the high side of the track and will stay in 3rd. Kyle Larson in front of Kyle Busch. Busch had this to say.
What do you think of what we got here, Gale? You think that right side's obviously hurting us there? I don't know. I think it is a little bit. I don't think our lap times look bad taking off there. You know, for what you had. I don't think we're slower. We'll obviously know here.
This has been an interesting battle between these 2 drivers. They've raced each other 61 times. Kyle Larson finished ahead 12 times, including the 2 wins that Kyle Larson has. He actually passed Kyle Busch for the win with 5 laps to go in his first win. It came at Auto Club Speedway in March of 2014. Take a look at the Xfinity speed charts. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, 2 fastest laps by 2 miles an hour of the rest of the field. Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, and Brian Scott making up the top 5. Chase Elliott in front of Ryan Blaney. Chase running that high line. Blaney trying to go to the apron down to the bottom of the track.
And they're battling for that very important free pass position. Chase Elliott needs to fight to try to get back on the lead lap. The 22 of Blaney trying to take that position from him. And all of this, they're running for the 6th position.
Ryan Blaney, a 21-year-old, going up against Chase Elliott, 19. Chase, the son of Bill Elliott. Chase just 19 years old out of Dawsonville.
Interesting. Chase went all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. They gave the outside to Blaney. Blaney took advantage of it. It's going to clear him.
And that is that lucky dog position, the free pass. Ryan Blaney has moved up into the highest scored non-lead lap car. Kelly.
Rick, we saw that slow stop for the 7 of Regan Smith. Well, the air gun broke as they went to change the right rear, which obviously caused significant delay. So while they were there, they checked the crush panel and some other damage he sustained as he's hit the wall now 3 times. Right now, Regan's saying he's out of control loose, but has worked his way back into the top 10.
Thanks, Kelly. Regan Smith trying to get by the 1 of Elliott Sadler. The gap still very close between Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. From a producer of The Office comes the new comedy Superstore. You know, you've shopped there, maybe you've even worked there. Superstore. Special preview on Monday, November 30th after The Voice on NBC. Riding with Ty Dillon, looking forward to the 42 of Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. We look at the leaderboard, the young stars of NASCAR. Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Brian Scott, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon, Chris Buescher. All the future of the sport.
And Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, we're going to hear that battle continue. They're both moving up full-time Sprint Cup next year. Ryan Blaney in the Wood Brothers 21. Chase Elliott taking over the iconic 24 that Jeff Gordon's going to be getting out of.
Riding along with the 7.
Out of the 1 here, and the 1 car comes up a little bit. You make contact.
That's a give and take situation. When you have 60 plus laps to go, you would probably not give as much if we were in the final 5 to 10 laps.
It's just, honestly, I mean, in racing, you're going to have contact from time to time, and, you know, it's just hard racing. That's all that was, in my opinion.
Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch separated by 0.3 of a second. Just behind them, the 20 of Eric Jones. Kelly?
And this is the first year crew chief Mike Wheeler has worked on this 20 car. He's had a handful of different drivers race it, and he said, I think we've run better than I expected. I was nervous coming over here because a year ago, this team came to Homestead without a single win. Now the 20 car has had 9 poles, 4 wins, and a whole bunch of top 3 finishes, and they're in position to have yet another top 3 today, Mike.
You know, Kelly, the 33 car in Austin Dillon had a real interesting pit stop over that last sequence. Came down pit road, they put a spring rubber in the left rear. They put the wheel back on, but before Austin took off, he kind of questioned the call. He asked Danny, he said, do we really need to do that? The car stood idle inside the box. They discussed it, spent time on pit road, and kept the spring rubber in. The beauty of only having 5 cars on the lead lap, he didn't lose much on the racetrack.
Mike, talking to Brian Scott and his crew chief this morning, you got the idea that they weren't satisfied with the season. They don't have that win yet that Brian still covets. On that last run, they were the lucky dog. They got the free pass, and the driver just radioed in about the changes. He said the car is bad fast right now. Marty?
Dave Ben Rhodes is making his final start in that 88 car right now in the 22nd position. He's made contact with the wall a couple of times today. But how about his spotter, Eddie DeHaan? Compare his day today to what will be his day tomorrow. Today, he's coaching and teaching, and there you see the spotters right now. Ben Rhodes, one of the young up-and-coming stars of NASCAR. Tomorrow, he'll try to win a championship with one of the most decorated veterans in the history of the sport, because tomorrow, he'll spot for Jeff Gordon. Rick?
Out in front, it's still Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. We'll stay with you as we go NASCAR nonstop from Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Leaders are on pit road at Homestead-Miami Speedway. They need adjustments, they need tires, they need fuel to get to the end of the race. Kyle Larson will take 4. His car was pretty good, no chassis changes for him. Kyle Busch, on the other hand, believed that he needed them for his 54 car to win. They put a wrench to the window, they've changed the air pressure on the 54 car.
42 staying out front of the 54. The 20, though, of Eric Jones, the only one on the lead lap, thought, I might want to stay out. The reason we're under caution, by the way, is because of rain. There was a little bit of a rain shower that has just passed through.
I think the 20 pitting, I think not pitting, I think that was 100% the right thing to do. It gives you an opportunity to win the race. If it goes back green, you'll pit, put on 4 tires. You certainly have lost some track position, but why not take a gamble?
Yeah, but what the 20 has done is trapped
That's right.
all of those cars a lap down. Now the wave round is not available to Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon, Chris Buescher. They have to determine right now. I think they have to pit, come and get tires. But if the 20 decides to pit with 1 to go,
Stay out here.
poor decision. I like what Eric Jones is doing, but it has really affected the strategy of all of our points contenders.
And we just heard him say, stay out here, we'll gamble. So they're going to try a gamble. As you see, now the drivers that are a lap down and multiple lap downs will make their way onto pit road. Marty.
Our championship leader, Chris Buescher, is in 9th. He said, I was a little bit better on exit, but I felt like we were better overall on the last run. So they're going to undo the last adjustment and 4 Goodyear tires, Kelly.
Regan Smith was going to stay out and take that wave around, but that option went away when the 20 stayed out. He started out of control loose, but the car got better. 4 tires, Mike.
Chase Elliott happy with the speed and the balance of his car. Up to 7th on the grid right now. Ernie Cope, the crew chief, saying, get as much fuel as you possibly can get in this car, thinking it might become a fuel mileage issue, Dave.
Ty Dillon was told we'll do the opposite of what the 20 does, so they came to pit road. The car is tight off of the corner. Chassis adjustment, 4 Goodyear tires, and Sunoco fuel for Ty.
Tight coming off of pit road. Eric Jones staying out will take the lead. After a few have made their way onto pit road, we're getting ready for the restart of the Xfinity Series Ford EcoBoost 300. Homestead-Miami Speedway. Eric Jones decided to come to pit road, and so that opened up some options. Take a look at the chaos.
Yeah, Eric Jones decided to come to pit road, but at the last minute, the 28 decides to stay out, hoping he could get the wave around. He wanted to go back on the racetrack, but Eric Jones got lucky right here. We saw some accidents already coming to pit road this year. He got pretty fortunate not to hit anybody.
Yeah, the 28 feels like he should be pass round eligible, but when he slowed down that much, the cars that were on the lead lap got back in front of him. So they're probably not going to let him take the pass round.
And that was a close call between Chase Elliott in the 9 and Regan Smith in the 7, and Regan bumped him. Said, you know what? I'm not so sure I appreciated the way you made that move all the way to the wall in front of me. Ty Dillon running 7th. Chase Elliott is 8th. Regan Smith 9th and Chris Buescher 11th. So once again, all 4 championship contenders within 4 positions.
The best thing for Chris Buescher is they're all 1 lap down. So from 7th to 14th is 1 lap down. They can only plus or minus 7 total positions unless one of their positions change as far as the laps go.
And just 55 laps remaining in the 2015 season. Chris Buescher trying to become just the 2nd driver from Texas to win the Xfinity Series championship. The first to do it, Bobby Labonte. Pace car will make its way back onto pit road, leaving the field back in the hands of Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Green flag back back in the air. Kyle Busch making the run on the outside. Will try to take the lead back away from Kyle Larson.
Chase Elliott with a big move on the outside.
To the bottom of the racetrack, and now up the track he goes. Kyle Larson trying to hang on to that lead. Here comes Kyle Busch. Busch will lead that lap. Austin Dillon in the 33. Brother Ty Dillon to the inside.
Kyle Larson's fighting to get to that left rear quarter panel of Kyle Busch. When his nose gets to that left rear tire, it just stalls the 54. The air pulls the 54 back, and then the 42 dives down in the corner trying to slide job him.
The 54 all the way down to the apron. They come up on the lap traffic. Close call there. There's a 40 of Josh Rayum running right in the middle of the track. And the lead lap cars getting by. Kyle Larson out in front of Kyle Busch. Austin Dillon, Brian Scott, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney. 6 cars on the lead lap.
You see how aggressive you have to be on the restarts. Watch Chase Elliott. Watch as he tries to get on the outside. Remember, he's racing the 3 car of Dillon to try to be the first car 1 lap down. So as they get into turn 1, Regan Smith makes it 3 wide, chokes up the middle. Here comes Chase on the outside, picks up the spot.
At a point there, it was almost 4 wide going into turn number 1. Chase Elliott using that high line to grab some spots. Now Kyle Larson trying to stay out front. Kyle Busch running second. The 2 have led the most laps today. 83 for Kyle Larson, 64 for Kyle Busch. The championship to be settled between Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott. The points between the 2, 16. Ty Dillon just 18 points back, and Regan Smith 23 points back.
And now the difficult decision for Kyle Larson. When does he go to the top of the racetrack? At what point does he say, okay, the bottom's not as good as the top? And he has to do that before Kyle Busch makes that move. You see, Kyle Busch tried to make it work that time in 3 and 4. Now that's going to make Kyle Larson make a decision as they approach turn 1 and 2. What is he going to do?
In this battle, the underdog is Kyle Larson, trying to hang on to the lead. Kyle Busch, so dominant in Xfinity Series races, all over the back bumper of Larson, trying to take the lead away.
Now, Kyle Busch has to make a choice right now. Where's Larson going to go? If he thinks Larson's going to go to the bottom, he's got to go to the top.
Both running right in the middle of the racetrack. How much mind games can you play when you run out front?
Well, what you're trying to do is run where he's not. So what Kyle Busch is hoping is that he can guess that Larson's going to go to the bottom and he can enter the top on the outside. That's so important. If he can actually enter the top already high, then he can carry that momentum all the way around the corner. But if Larson takes the top like he did right here, then that's the block, and that prevents Kyle Busch from doing what he wanted to do.
Kyle Busch, though, turned down in the middle of the racetrack. He's going to try to carry the momentum off the corner, get to that left rear quarter panel of the 42, trying to slow him down.
So now Kyle Busch has to assume Larson's going to go to the top. He's going to go straight to the bottom. There he goes.
And trying to do the slide job. If he can get in front of him and move up the racetrack, he's not going to have the advantage. It might be close, though. Will he force the issue? He does. Slides right in front of the 42. The crossover move by Larson.
Great move by Kyle Larson to stay in the gas. And he's going to try to squeeze up to the 54, but the 54 has the line.
Now will Larson do the same thing? He does, right in front of Kyle Busch. And Larson stays in front. Here comes Busch. Larson going to the middle of the track. Kyle Busch dives to the bottom.
If you can believe it, it's almost like the 42 of Kyle Larson doesn't commit until he sees where the car behind him commits.
It's like a chess match at almost 200 miles an hour in the corner.
Kyle Larson runs the high line now. The middle of the track, Kyle Busch.
And And as these two are racing, the 33 of Austin Dillon, we haven't seen much of him today, but he's entering the fold only 7/10 back.
Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, 1 and 2. Austin Dillon running third. We go NASCAR nonstop. NASCAR fans, your chance to celebrate the end of another outstanding race season with the All-Stars of NASCAR in Las Vegas during Champions Week. For more information, visit NASCAR.com/Vegas. Kyle Larson out front. Here's what they had to say on the radio about fuel.
We've got to save 1.5 laps of fuel. 1.5. We can start doing it a little bit later, but if you can help just a tick right now, just a tick.
1.5 laps. There's a lot of laps to try to save, especially when you're running the top of the racetrack. What makes the top of the racetrack so good for these drivers is they can get in the throttle so early. Well, that's not helping the fuel situation. Although I don't think the 42 has a choice, he's going to have to start saving fuel. Luckily, his crew chief told him with 40 laps to go. That way, he doesn't have to get carried away. A little bit, a 0.5 of a second every lap or so. Roll out of the gas just a little bit sooner, you may be able to save enough.
And he mentions a lap and a half. That's 2 miles. He needs 2 miles of fuel. So he's got to start thinking about that well enough in advance as we see the 7 and the 60 championship contenders. Regan Smith coming up the track just a bit. Very close. Not sure if there was any contact there, but very close racing between the 60 and the 7.
You know, 60 Busher feels like he has his spot. You know, stays in the gas. Regan Smith, you know, see how much his car is moving out of control he was. But I'm not sure if I was Regan, if I was Busher, I would have just said, you know what, you go ahead and take that spot.
NASCAR's looking a little bit of a tire rub on the 54 of Kyle Busch. Dave?
It's true, Rick, and he says it's worse on the straightaway, so we got to look at it at some point. We can see where it happened on the 54, but right now it doesn't seem to be hampering his effort to stay in touch with the leader, Kyle Larson.
And again, Kyle Busch has gotten into the wall. We saw it earlier in the race. So a little bit of damage to the right side. And he continues to run right up against the wall with 36 laps to go, continuing to chase after Kyle Larson. For more updates on our championship contenders, Dave.
Rick, 2 years ago here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Richard Childress had a chance to watch his famous number 3 go back into championship form. It was older brother Austin, and there were tears in many eyes that weekend as the 3 returned to prominence. Ty has been trying to do that for Pop Pop this weekend, but it's been a tough go, and it still is not in touch with the race leaders. However, he is ahead of his 3 championship rivals if something, maybe a miracle, would just happen. Mike?
Well, Dave, as we discuss iconic numbers in NASCAR, you can't overlook the 24 on the Sprint Cup Series side. Of course, that is one of the major storylines here this weekend as Jeff Gordon makes his final appearance. With that, there's a lot of attention being paid to Chase Elliott. He'll take over the 24 car next year. He spoke about that this week, saying, look, I'm not trying to fill Jeff Gordon's shoes. I'm just going to try to be me. It's a great opportunity to grow. We would certainly like to bring back-to-back Xfinity championships to that car, but he needs some help this afternoon. Kelly?
After finishing 35th in the season opener and then wrecking again at Watkins Glen, Regan Smith has had to dig himself out of a points hole 2 times this season. He didn't even think he'd be in the conversation of winning a championship. He knows they had another big hill to climb today, but he felt like the best they could do was to put themselves in position to capitalize should something go wrong with those other 3 championship contenders, Marty.
Kelly, we've heard about fuel concerns for some of the leaders. No such fuel concerns for our championship leader, Chris Buescher. Scott Graves tells me they are good to go until the end of the race. You know, Buescher told me yesterday, I hate points racing, but he said we really had to change our mindset and go into that conservative mode after Bristol. You may remember that race. They were leading late in that race, ran out of fuel, cost them a ton of points. He told me yesterday that was, quote, an eye-opener. We knew we couldn't afford that again. And if it's all worth it, the prize will be worth it at the end of the day. The prize right now for Chris Buescher, 33 laps away.
Chris Buescher looking at the big picture. It might not be winning this race, but it will definitely be winning the championship if he stays where he is. Caution has come out. It's the 5th time today. And still just 6 cars on the lead lap. But that's going to change quickly, because with this caution coming out, that gives quite a few drivers the option of potentially the wave around. And who will come to pit road? The reason for this caution. 44 of David Starr up into the wall. The battle for the lucky dog, that free pass.
Outside corner, your bottom of 3, bottom of 3.
Lead lap car,
bottom of 3.
Non-lead lap car scored, gets the lucky dog or that free pass, and Suarez had just gotten in front of Ty Dillon.
That was 1 lap before the caution came out, so that shows you how important it is to always stay racing, always stay aggressive. So we'll put him back in the lead lap.
There's a lot of decisions to be made. Remember, there's a time limit. There's still 27 laps to go. With only 6 cars in the lead lap, if I'm Eric Jones or Ryan Blaney, I would consider staying on the racetrack. Eric Jones could stay on the racetrack. That would, A, trap a lot of guys a lap down, and B, caution comes out in 15 laps. You're going to have new tires. You're going to easily pass the cars in front of you.
If the caution comes out.
Yeah, but if the pits, you haven't been able to outrun the cars in front of you, but they're all going to come.
You sound dejected. We'll go back to pit road, Kelly.
Eric Jones saying that his entry and middle are both good, and he really had to get up on the wheel, though, when running up against the wall. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. It'll be 4 tires and Sunoco fuel, Mike.
Kelly, Austin Dillon saying he needs a little bit help getting back to the gas, and he also needs a little bit more front turn. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, a chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel, Dave.
Leader Kyle Larson says, let's leave it alone. Just 4 tires and fuel. Good on and off of pit road. The 54 says, you guys need to free it up for me. I'm about 2 numbers less than I need in the center of the corner. A little tug in the right rear fender as well to help the 54.
So now it all goes back to our points battle. What are Ty Dillon, Chase Elliott, Regan Smith, Chris Buescher going to do? If I'm Ty Dillon, Chase Elliott, Regan Smith, I absolutely stay out for the wave by for 2 reasons. I want to gamble to get my lap back, and I also want to save my last set of tires. None of these cars have showed winning speed. Their only chance is to get off strategy, save a set of tires. If they are lucky, and that's what it's come down to now, lucky to get a caution at the right time, have a set of tires, Chase Elliott could be the winner. That might be what he needs to win a championship.
And if I'm Chris Buescher, I'm running 11th. I'm behind all the other guys. If they all stay out, guess what I do? I stay out too. I don't let them get off strategy. I make them stay on my strategy. Whatever they do, I do. If they split, some pit, don't pit, then I come in and put tires on.
And I want to ask you this. If you also know, though, that if you finish 13th, you win the championship, wouldn't you come to pit road to make sure you get tires and not have an issue with your car? A couple have stayed out now. We've seen Chase Elliott decide to
but the points leader didn't. Chris Buescher is on pit road.
Marty.
And this is where it gets interesting, Rick. As you guys pointed out, points leader on pit road. He said his tight center, snappy loose off. He said, we haven't held the center all day long, but I need to be good from the center of the corner off for this short run here at the end of the race. So back down 3/4 of a round on the track bar, 4 fresh Goodyear tires.
The 54 of Kyle Busch, an uncontrolled tire. So he will have a penalty that he will have to serve. We go NASCAR nonstop. Welcome back. Things getting very interesting now with under 24 laps to go from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Marty, what's going on with the 60 team?
A lot of nerves in the 60s pick. Let's talk to Scott Graves. Walk me through the decision to pit there. Why?
For us, it's a smart position. There's one car behind us on the same lap as us. Everyone else took the wave around. If the caution comes out, we're hopefully here going to be in the lucky dog spot. We're going to be on the lead lap along with those guys. They had to do something different. They got to win it. We got to finish 13th or better. So we're in a little bit better, or a little bit different position, and just trying to do the smart thing here.
Hear all those wave around cars going around. Scott Graves making the call, the conservative call. Remember, they have to finish 13th or better. That's it, Rick.
Rick, I completely disagree. I don't think it's a conservative call. I agree with Scott Graves' statement that he's going to be in the lucky dog position, but that would be the only thing that helps this 60. If something happens on this restart and he's not in the lucky dog position and the caution comes out, there are now 20 cars one lap down. All those cars that Marty mentioned got the wave around, they're now on the same lap as Chris Buescher. That's a lot of points available to lose if things don't go right here for the 60.
The conservative thing to do would have been to stay on the same strategy as the 3 other people that are trying to beat you in points. If you stayed on their strategy, then they can't beat you based on strategy. They may beat you because of bad luck or something, but it wouldn't be based on strategy. Now the door is open for something strange to happen. And remember, they put their last set of tires on. So if we go for a little while and Buescher doesn't get back on the lead lap, isn't the first car lap down and get back on the lead lap, everybody's going to pit. They're going to have tires, and you're not going to have tires. That's the trouble. All these guys that are now 20 cars, one lap down, those guys are coming in, putting on tires, and they potentially can make pass you and move you all the way down to 19th or 20th.
This is worst case scenario for the 60. We go green, we run 10 laps, the caution comes out, and he's not the lucky dog. He now has the worst tires of everyone one lap down, and all of his chase competitors have the best tires of everybody on the lead lap.
Let's listen into the radio.
There's plenty of information these last handful of laps. I know 13th or better, but to keep you informed of what's going on so I can judge how we're racing everybody. Yeah, 10-4.
Here's all Chris Buescher needs to know right now. It's you are racing Landon Castle. You are racing Ryan Sieg. You are racing Almirola to be the first car lap down. That's all you need to know. Beat those guys. That way, if the caution comes out, you're the first car lap down, and now you control what you need to control. That's all he needs to know.
I like the call if he gets the lucky dog, or if a caution doesn't come out. But it's a risky move.
Big picture, now he has to finish 14th. No matter what any of his competitors do, if he finishes 14th, he will win the championship. Kyle Larson, Brian Scott making up the front row. Kyle Larson on the inside, Brian Scott on the outside. Green flag back in the air, 21 laps to go. Chris Buescher, after not taking the wave around, currently running in 12th. First car a lap down. And behind him the caution comes out, it's the 54. Kyle Busch gets into the wall. Remember, they had an uncontrolled tire, they had to serve that penalty. He was in the back of the field. Chris Buescher looks to be the free pass recipient. He is the highest non-lead lap car scored.
Okay, bring it to us.
And that is, I'm not going to call it a break. What I'm going to call that is a great job by Chris Buescher to stay in the lucky dog position.
It was coming off of turn 4 for Kyle Busch.
Kyle was penalized on pit road. He had to make his way to the front. Ryan Sieg really loose in front. Tried to turn left to avoid him. Ran across the nose.
Yeah, there's nothing Darrell Wallace Jr. can do. He's there. He doesn't know the 54 is going to turn a hard left. We talk about pit road and penalties. We look forward to tomorrow. 4 guys racing for a championship. How easily the tide turned for the 54 up front, running in the top 2 all day. Uncontrolled tire, goes to the back of the pack, crashes,
And listen, if it wasn't 19 laps to go, if this was wrong in the race, I think Kyle Busch is patient. I think he just waits. He watched Ryan Sieg, watch what's happened, but he's got to make a move. So he obviously did the wrong thing. He turned left, trying to get into a hole that wasn't there. But if you had 100 laps to make that space, that ground up that you lost because of the penalty, I don't think Kyle Busch is in this race.
You can take more time. Kyle Busch, knowing that it was getting very intense, few laps to go.
And we heard Scott Graves say for this strategy to work, he really needed to be in the lucky dog if the caution did fall. Chris Buescher did a spectacular job on the restart. You see how crazy this restart is. He doesn't want to be 3 wide, definitely not behind these guys. Remember, he needs to be in the lucky dog, but he can't risk being in an accident. That's Landon Castle in the 01 right behind him. Chris Buescher keeps up, does a good job, manages the speed, Jeff, without taking a huge risk.
Working on the left front of the 54 of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch led 66 laps in this race. Kyle Larson has led the most at 111 laps. They'll continue to work on the 54. Kyle Busch still on the lead lap. But there is another penalty, 2 penalties actually for Kyle Busch. Too soon coming to pit road. And now more coming your way, Kelly.
And the 7 team debated whether or not to stay out yet again, ultimately coming to pit saying, let's take the fight to him. Regan Smith saying that he was loose and trending looser. You see they're going to make a chassis adjustment. It'll be 4 fresh tires and fuel for the 7, Mike.
Kelly, there was a lot of debate in the 9 camp as well, whether or not to come down pit road for fresh rubber here. Ernie Cope said, yes, we're going to take 4 tires and fuel. Chase also looking for a drink of water. Awfully parched inside that hot race car, Dave.
Ty Dillon said, you need to free me up. I need to roll the center better. So he'll get a chassis adjustment, 4 brand new Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
Under 18 laps to go in the 2015 season. We will be with you until 6 o'clock with all the championship celebration for Miami. Who will be the champion? Chris Buescher just took another step closer to clinching that title with under 17 laps to go. Let's listen in to championship leader Chris Buescher's radio.
You know we got to start at the back, right, Scott? Yeah, that's fine. Only 12 cars on lane lap. You can just ride back there. Do whatever you need to.
Yeah, with only 17 to go, ride in the back, don't get in a wreck. You're in pretty good shape.
Only 12 cars on the lead lap. He needs to finish 14th to clinch the title. Still in question. Who will win? Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson. Green flag back in the air. 16 laps to go. Austin Dillon with a great restart. Dillon out front. Ryan Blaney moves up to second. Eric Jones is third. Kyle Larson's fallen all the way back to fourth. Brian Scott running 5th. Daniel Suarez 6th. Chase Elliott running 7th. Ty Dillon 8th. Regan Smith 9th. 3 of the championship 4 running 7th, 8th, and 9th. The problem is Chris Buescher's running 11th. The gap between 1st and 2nd in points, 14 points. And with Chris Buescher running inside of the 14th position, there isn't anything the other 3 can do to improve upon those points. Chris Buescher listening to his team. All we have to do is hang out. If we want to win the championship, don't get involved in any incidents on the track. 54 of Kyle Busch has gone to the garage after being competitive most of the race. An uncontrolled tire relegated them back in the pack. And that can happen to anyone. 2 and 3 wide just in front of Chris Buescher. Now running cautious. If you can run cautious at 150 to 180 miles an hour around a racetrack. Austin Dillon out in front of Ryan Blaney. The gap between the top 2, 0.3 of a second. Ryan Reed, we see him get into the wall just in front of the 60. Look at the 20 and 42. Eric Jones got into the back of that 42 of Kyle Larson. And then just moments ago, look at that contact. As Eric Jones up the track and gets into the left front of Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson's had such a good car on this restart. He's fallen all the way back to 5th. With only 12 laps to go, I'm not sure the top's going to come in soon enough for him to try to regain this position.
He goes to the bottom of the track trying to get by Brian Scott in the 2. Eric Jones in the 20, running 3rd. A little contact between the 2 earlier.
From here.
I would imagine the 42's got quite a bit of damage on the left front fender. That's really hurting the turn right now. That's the 20 car in the wall.
And to hurt his momentum, the 42 is going to look to go below him down the front stretch, making it 3 wide with Brian Scott. A squeeze move by the 42.
Kyle Larson doing everything he can to get back to the front. And here comes Brian Scott looking at the bottom of the track. Larson running 3rd. He's a 2.5 behind Austin Dillon. Dillon trying to check out and win the final race of the Xfinity Series. Now Brian Scott back to the bottom of the track. Kyle Larson keeping the momentum up right up against the wall. Chris Buescher on the lead lap running 11th, 8 seconds behind race leader Austin Dillon. Chris Buescher is going to win this championship in 2015 because of always keeping his eye on the big picture, not having issues, staying out of the trouble that the other 3 competitors have gotten into.
Austin Dillon, though, the leader. He needs to start looking in the mirror. The 42 of Kyle Larson has caught Ryan Blaney for 2nd, looking to the inside of him down the front stretch.
And now Kyle Larson has moved to 2nd. Does he have enough time to reel in Austin Dillon?
He's definitely going to catch the 33, but will he be able to pass the 33?
And this is when we see Kyle Larson sometimes push a little bit too hard. He's already against the wall. He's already going as fast as he can all the entire race. Now he's got to push to try to find a little bit more. Can he do it without making contact with the wall?
My concern for Austin Dillon in the 33, Rick, is he runs a lane off the wall. I'm not sure he wants to leave that lane open for the 42, Jeff. It might be time to be defensive, run a little higher on the racetrack.
And he's run that line all day long. We've talked about it before when we were off there. You and I were talking about how he's much lower compared to Larson, and Larson is coming quick right now.
Less than 7 laps to go. Kyle Larson, dominant. Led 111 laps, but he wants to lead the most important one, and that's the last one.
Look how much quicker he is through the middle of the corner. He beat Dillon by a half a second that last lap. Dillon's got to get his car all the way against the wall. Not partially against the wall, completely against the wall.
The gap gone between the top two. Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson. Larson with the momentum. It was 0.2 of a second the last time they went by the start-finish line.
Just like you said, Jeff, Austin Dillon this time has tried the top. The problem is, has he run up there enough? Does he know how to do it? The 42's been up there all day.
We've seen this line job from the 42 and Larson. We've seen it several times. If he can get next to the 33 on corner entry, I can promise you he's going to try to clear him just enough and then use all the racetrack to pull up in front of him.
There are 5 laps to go. The 60 doing what he has to do to win the title. Kyle Larson trying to do what he has to do to win this race. Kyle Larson been running right up against the wall. Oh, and the 33 is into the wall. Austin Dillon gets into the wall after running right up against it. He gets into the wall. The 42 is going to go by for the lead.
He doesn't have a lot of experience running up there. He's only done it a few laps all day.
Dillon trying to stay up with the 42 of Kyle Larson. But Larson has cleared him now. Kyle Larson out in front. Under 4 laps to go.
Yeah, we've seen Austin Dillon all day long try to run a little bit lower. Austin Dillon trying to do a slide job. It's not going to be a make it work. That was so close on the lap car. But we've seen all day long Austin has not been right against the wall. When he went to do it, that was only the 3rd or 4th time he'd done it all day long. He just wasn't into the rhythm, got into the corner a little bit too deep, got into the wall, lost his momentum, and Larson took advantage of it.
Kyle Larson running right up against the wall. Austin Dillon has fallen back to second now. The gap 0.2 of a second. Under 3 to go.
We already saw Austin Dillon make a mistake, though. He's doing a great job of keeping the pressure on the 42, not letting him relax. See if he can push Kyle Larson into making the same mistake.
Kyle Larson now spreading the gap out with 2 to go. Larson trying to win the race to finish off the 2015 season. He goes all the way down to the bottom of the track. Chris Buescher, 2 laps away from a championship.
Kyle Larson, as soon as he had a good 3 and 4 and gained 5 or 6 car lengths, he moved off the wall down to 1 and 2, almost to be a little bit of safe. But now he sees the 33 getting closer. He goes back to the top to try to get the momentum for the last lap.
White flag in the air. One more time around. Kyle Larson in front of Austin Dillon. Eric Jones, Brian Scott, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, Ty Dillon, Chase Elliott, Regan Smith, Darrell Wallace Jr., and Chris Buescher all on the lead lap. Down the backstretch for the final time. Kyle Larson right up against the wall. Larson looking for his 3rd career win.
Bring it on home. We waited all year, baby.
Larson will win in Miami. And Chris Buescher, final time through 3 and 4. His dreams are going to come true. Chris Buescher will win the title for the Xfinity Series.
You did it. Oh, nice job, guys. Nice job. That is awesome. Thank you guys for this whole year. Thank you so much. Chris Buescher, Wayne off. Let's go with Wayne. You are the 2015 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion. Congratulations. Go past the start-finish line, go down here to the Havable.
Xfinity Series Director Wayne Ott congratulating Chris Buescher. There'll be 2 drivers that will celebrate at the end of this race. Kyle Larson, race winner, and of course Chris Buescher, the 2015 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion. there can't be two more proud people than the driver of the 60 than Mom Donna and Dad Jim. Let's hear from him. Marty?
Well, Mom Donna finally broke down with a couple of laps to go. But, Jim, now I know where he gets all those calm nerves from. You never cracked once at the end of that race, did you?
Hardly, no. It's a little nerve-wracking up there today, definitely. That was good.
When your little boy wanted to move to North Carolina when he was 15, did you say he was crazy?
I almost didn't let him. I didn't want to let him, but they won, and this is awesome.
All right, these guys are certainly loving this moment.
No, I got to thank, Jack Roush and the Reagans and everything for all the help that they've given them. And this is payday.
A long road for these guys. As Chris Buescher told us, if it's all worth it, the prize will be worth it. And indeed, the prize is worth it. Chris Buescher, your Xfinity Series champion.
At 17, he signed with Roush Fenway. What an incredible decision that was for the entire family.
You know, this year he showed everything. He showed speed. He showed the ability to run well on almost every kind of racetrack. He also showed a tremendous amount of maturity. He never got rattled. He rarely made a mistake. This was a breakout year for Chris Buescher.
23 years old. 2 times Chris Buescher won in the 2015 season. But the biggest celebration is winning the championship. Mom and Dad are proud. We'll chat to the winner next. The smoke still lingering from Chris Buescher's burnout at the end, as he is now the 2015 Xfinity Series champion. Kyle Larson wins the race. Let's hear from him. He's with Dave Burns.
This is Victory Lane, Kyle. It has been since May of last year since you've been here in the Xfinity Series. Describe your day and how you got here, because you bounced off the wall a couple of times.
Not as many as a lot of people, so that's about the least I've hit the wall here before. So, Daddy. It's my spotter. He's the best up there on the roof. But, man, all these guys prepared a great Crest Chevy for me. You know, the moment we unloaded the truck, I don't know if we made any adjustments, really. The car was amazing. I knew we were going to be good in the race. We didn't qualify that well, but as soon as the green flag dropped, I was able to carve my way up. Almost get by Kyle on the competition caution. Then it was just a matter of me staying in front of him on the short runs. I was really good on the long runs, but he was a little bit better on the short runs. And then he had his pit issue there, and that really saved the race for us. And then I about gave it away the last 2 restarts, especially the last one. That was pretty hairy there. I almost wrecked myself with Eric Jones off turn 2, just trying to get after and clear myself there. And then he wasn't too happy with me either, and psycho swerved me into one, but was able to get ripping on the top and run down Austin, and you know, he made a mistake there trying to run really aggressive because we were really good up there, but I love this track. Yeah, I almost won the last 2 races here in the last 2 seasons, and feels good to finally get it done. So thanks to Crest, Ineos, Parker Store, especially Target for all they do to allow me to race. Chip, Harry Scott, Felix, Rob Kaufman's coming on board next year. So just a big group effort, and really looking forward to tomorrow, and then to get onto some dirt racing this off season, and then kick back up into the pavement stuff next year.
Not on your plate. You chose not to do burnouts on the front stretch. Can you tell us why?
This is championship week, and this is all about the champion. So congrats to Chris Buescher. I wanted him to celebrate. You know, it's always kind of odd, you know, when I'm sitting in the stands, there's 2 cars doing burnouts. So I wanted, you know, Chris to have his moment there, and he worked hard all season long. So it's cool to see him get a win there in the championship for Roush. I know they've been struggling on the Cup side, so it's good to see them, you know, be successful in the Xfinity Series. And Chris is an amazing talent.
Yeah, good move by you. But let me remind you, victory lane is all yours. Kyle Larson wins at Homestead.
What a classy move by Kyle Larson. I mean, he understands this is all about the championship. This is championship weekend, and Chris Buescher did what he had to do. He is the Xfinity Series champion. Let him bathe in all of the glory.
Yeah, because Kyle Larson doesn't have 50 Xfinity wins. He has 3. This is still a huge moment for him. You can see the excitement of finally getting a win here at Homestead-Miami. I agree, a classy move. But how about Chris Buescher all year long, just doing what needs to be done? Not flashy, won a couple of races, showed speed, much like you said, Jeff, but consistent. Scott Graves, I questioned the call to come in and pit when everyone stayed on the racetrack. He did it. They got the lucky dog. Tough decisions on top of the pit box. Really a grind behind the wheel. Chris Buescher, he reminds me of that a blue-collar racer. He just continues to grind out those points. A very deserving champion.
Yeah, and on top of that with Kyle Larson, you think that was a dramatic win. I mean, with 7 or 8 to go, I thought it was done. There's no way he and Herrick Jones are banging off each other. There's no way he's going to catch Dillon. He just kept digging, never gave up, and passed with a few laps left. So not only was it an emotional win, he had enough wherewithal about him to, as you said, he only has 3 Xfinity wins. Give the spotlight to Chris Buescher, full-time Xfinity team. Let them celebrate their championship. That was without a doubt a classy move.
And now the 60 will roll down in front of the grandstands and make his way to the championship stage. A huge moment in the life of Chris Buescher, the young 23-year-old out of Prosper, Texas, winning his first championship. He'll try to defend it in 2016, but right now he gets to savor all the spoils that are afforded to the champion. Chris Buescher has done everything he had to do in 2015.
We've talked a lot about the struggles of Roush racing, Roush Fenway racing at the Cup level. What a great moment for them to have something great happen to them in the Xfinity Series with a young driver that they can move into their Cup Series one day.
Let's celebrate with him. We go down to Marty.
He's going to get a congratulatory handshake from Jack Roush, and Chris Buescher will climb out of the car as your 2015 Xfinity Series champion. The man who took a chance on him when he was just a young man and when he came from Texas. Chris Buescher, now a champion in NASCAR. Congratulations. You know, I talked to your mom a moment ago. She said she almost didn't let you leave home when you were 15 years old. When you left home, did you really think that you would be here on this day celebrating a championship?
Well, I sure hope so. I'm glad she let me. I think she's okay with it now. You know, I gotta thank my parents so much for the opportunity to even be here and to leave home and do this. But you know, that was such an amazing race. You know, it's just being careful. Our Fastenal Mustang had good speed in it. We just had to be careful out there. But you know, just can't say thank you enough to Fastenal coming on board for the last race, and Ford, you know, YOEX, and you know, Xfinity for their first year sponsoring the series here. It's pretty amazing to be in this position.
Throughout this whole championship battle, you were so calm. Were you underneath the surface as calm as you appeared to all of us on the outside?
I did a good job masking it, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You told me this morning you were nervous.
I was a little bit nervous, but all things considered, that's exactly what we needed to do, and we knew that, and we knew we were capable of doing this. So, just so glad we could pull it off. For all the people that have come on board all year, to have Advocare and Roush Performance, Cheez-It, and all the fans that come out to these races, this is awesome. I know the weather wasn't ideal today, but they all hung in there with us, and we made it through this thing, and now we get to celebrate.
It was a dicey moment. You guys pitted, nobody else pitted. At that moment, you had to stay in a position to keep the lucky dog. How aggressive were you on that restart, Chris?
Well, we got all we could get on that one, and luckily it was just us in the 0-1 at that point. So, we knew that we had been running pretty well, and we could get that spot, and the caution came out pretty quickly. So it's exactly what we needed. And then there at the end, it was just 21 laps of Scott saying, just ride there, and the spotter just, stay right there. You don't need anything else.
You've talked so much about the Cup Series for Roush Fenway Racing versus the Xfinity side for Roush Fenway Racing. The meaning for you to bring Jack Roush a championship. What does that say for what you've done for a man who took a chance on you?
It's I'm blessed to be here. So I just
Greg Biffle in with a handshake and a hug for him.
It's fine. So that's it's so cool to be able to pull it off.
And there's Mom Donna with a hug. She's been holding back those tears all evening long. Only let him go with a couple laps. I'm sure it's fun to see all the family and friends.
It is. It's nice to have everybody out here. Just to come hang out and be with us for this accomplishment.
And Dad in there as well. But you told me Friday I hate points racing. You still hate points racing?
Yes, you. I'm not a points racer. I don't like it. It's not the most fun way to run the last half of the season or the last 10 races season, but. It's important. This is what we've been fighting for since February in Daytona, and these guys have done such a great job. They've stuck in there with us all year. No mechanical failures, no DNFs. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment for this team. It really shows the organization that we have back at RFR.
And he gets to go pick up a trophy for the first time ever as Xfinity Series champion. Let him go celebrate with everyone. There's his girlfriend Emma. Nice moment for the Busher family.
He will make his way up onto the stage to receive the championship trophy. That championship presentation coming up next. it has ended up being a very beautiful night at Homestead-Miami Speedway, especially for the driver of the 60, Chris Buescher. What a season he has had as he claims his first championship in the Xfinity Series in just his second full-time season. He becomes the 4th Roush Fenway driver to win the Xfinity Series championship. And now for the trophy presentation, let's go to the championship stage in Chris Devoto.
That's right, Rick. It is time to crown a champion, and it has been a fabulous first year for the partnership between Xfinity and NASCAR. Let's begin with Senior Vice President of Marketing Communications for Comcast, Peter Intermaggio.
Thanks very much. Well, Chris, congratulations on winning this inaugural season for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You know, we talk about this series as the series where names are made, and we have a new great name made tonight. So congratulations.
You said it's been a fight since February. I'm sure you're ready for a little hardware. So we're going to turn now to NASCAR Vice Chairman Mike Helton for the trophy presentation.
Chris, on behalf of all of NASCAR, you've been one cool customer this year, and now you're our Xfinity champion. We're proud with you, your Roush Fenway organization, bringing Jack Roush back into the champion world. We're honored to have you as our champion. We look forward to celebrating all year with you next year.
You when you walked up here, I said, go ahead, take a breath, look around, just enjoy the moment. I know you've talked about everything that this season has meant to you, but when you're a young kid growing up in Prosper, Texas, and you say, Mom, Dad, I want to go racing, could you ever have imagined you'd be standing on this stage with Jack Roush, Mike Helton, all of these team members behind you? You're the champion.
Honestly, no. My parents told me I didn't have a choice of racing. It was football, baseball, or soccer. So glad I was able to convince them. This is, this is what I've been dreaming of since I was 12 years old. Is when I decided I wanted to race for a career and make it happen. And this is just, it's so special to be right here, right now. These guys deserve a round of applause. It was so awesome what we were able to pull off. Get a couple wins, be in position to win a handful more. You know, it's just got to breathe now. Trying to breathe and take it all in and realize that we just accomplished exactly what we came here to do.
And you join an elite club, the likes of Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Let's bring in your boss, Jack Roush. We talked about all the names who've come before him. You've been here before, but what does it mean to be back here on this stage, Jack, with this young man?
Well, it's great to be here with Chris. You know, Chris has dedicated his life to becoming a driver for stock cars. His family supported him. He's been out on his mission since he was 6 years old. So I've just been involved here in the last 4 years with him, actually 6 years with him. And it's been great to watch him grow and to see him realize his dreams here.
Each driver is special. Each driver brings a unique quality. What does Chris bring to the car and now as a champion in the Xfinity Series?
It's great to be a champion in the first Xfinity Series year, and it's just wonderful to be up here on the stage with him.
Congratulations, Jack. And we'd be remiss if we didn't bring in Scott Graves, the guy calling the shots on the pit box. Scott, go ahead and tell us a little bit. Congratulations, first of all. But what this means not just to your driver, but to all these guys behind you, blood, sweat, and tears.
Really, the whole company, Roush Fenway, everybody's worked so hard this year to give us, the best equipment. We come out here and win races and all the top fives and everything we did this year. It's amazing. I just got to thank the whole team, everything. I mean, it really, you got to run a perfect season to win these things, and we did it this year.
And you didn't make it easy. There was that moment there in those closing laps with those cautions. Talk about the decision to bring Chris in when those other three stayed out.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we were in a little different position. Knowing where everybody was as far as being laps down and things like that, I mean, that was the right play for us to make. And it worked out even better when the caution came out within a lap or two. So it just worked out.
Congratulations, you earned it. We're going to let all of you continue celebrating, but we have another championship presentation to make. There's an owner's champion. We're going to bring NASCAR Vice Chairman Mike Helton back in, and we'll bring the captain, Roger Penske, over here.
Well, Team Penske made it a clean sweep for Ford Motor Company this year. We're honored to have you as our car owner champion again in the Xfinity Series. Congratulations, and we'll celebrate with you Monday night.
Congratulations, Roger. 3 years in a row with this title. Tell us what it means.
Well, it's a real credit to our team to think we had 4 drivers get us here, but I want to thank Ford, obviously,
Discount Tire and our key sponsors for really standing up for us 3 years in a row. It's awful special. So glad to be here. Glad to see that Chris won the championship. So we have a double hitter.
Well, it has been a fantastic year to go from, on the Cup side, winning the Daytona 500, the drama of the chase. Ryan Blaney, just a fantastic driver, one of those drivers in that 22 car for you in this series. It's been a season of everything for your organization.
A season of everything would be exactly the way to put it. It's been a lot of drama, but we're looking forward for tomorrow. But the other hand, these guys are winners today. There's no question that our team stood together on this championship, and glad for Ford, and we're looking out for next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. Congratulations on the Owners' Championship in the Xfinity Series. Well, I know the championships, the celebration's going to continue behind us. Rick, we'll throw it back upstairs to you.
Thank you, Krista. And we will hear from the other championship contenders when we come back to Homestead-Miami Speedway, including Chase Elliott, came so close, Ty Dillon and Regan Smith as well in that title hunt into the very last laps. It'll be hard to wipe the smile off of Chris Buescher's face. He'll be joining Krista, Kyle, and DJ on NBCSN for more post-race coverage this evening. We continue to celebrate not only the championship, but the win. We look at the results from tonight's race. Kyle Larson getting his third Xfinity Series win, and it was a battle at the end between he and Austin Dillon. Dillon hanging on for second. Eric Jones, Brian Scott, Ryan Blaney, all making some gambles at the end. Either wave arounds, staying out on the track to make sure to get that track position. Daniel Suarez finishing 6th, Rookie of the Year for 2015. And Chris Buescher finishing 11th, solidifying that position for the championship. A tough racetrack for quite a few drivers as quite a few got into the wall, and then it was the tire issue on pit road for Kyle Busch that put him at the back of the pack and in a position to where he tried to push it a little bit too hard. Finished 30th. Right after the race, Mike Massaro caught up with Chase Elliott.
Defending series champion Chase Elliott came into the day Saturday trying to erase an 18-point deficit and battled all the way to the checkered flag today. It wasn't an easy battle, but you made it to the end, came up just a little bit short. Your thoughts on the way this season played out for you?
Well, first off, congratulations to Chris and their entire team. I mean, they beat everybody fair and square, and there's nothing to be upset from that end. You know, obviously we want to be better, and we're not content from our side, but you know, for them, I'm happy for them. He did a good job, and they deserve it. So, just really proud of our team. Well, today, I mean, I feel like we were up and down and had a really good car, especially on the long runs, and made up a lot of ground. Just struggled to go on the short, and but we fought hard. Just a big thanks to Napa Auto Parts. They, as I've said 1,000 times, they made this happen for us last year and this year, and it wasn't championship, but I felt like we battled all the way at the end, and looking forward to going into next year with those guys. And appreciate everybody at JRM for these past 2 years. It's been fun, and looking forward to moving on.
Early in the race, left front fender damage. There seemed to be some concern as we looked at the car. It didn't look pretty, but it still looked fast. What was it like behind the wheel?
Yeah, I thought it helped it, to be honest with you. We were really loose. I think that took a lot of front downforce off the nose, and that made us tighter, and I thought it helped our car a little bit. So I was kind of hoping they weren't going to fix it, but they fixed it back well, and I feel like our car drove similar after that as it did right before we fixed it. So like I said, just definitely have a lot of room for improvement on my end, and want to do a lot of thinking this offseason to make sure I'm prepared come Daytona.
This closes a chapter in your career, but now it's on to bigger things. One of the major storylines here this week is that Jeff Gordon is saying goodbye to the sport. You'll take over his car. What are your thoughts as you prepare for that move?
My thoughts are I want Jeff Gordon to go win this thing tomorrow night. That's what my thoughts are right now. So as I've said all season long, I'm a 24 fan first, and that's what I want to see. I just want to pull for those guys. I hope the best for them. You know, just their entire team. I know Jeff wants it really bad. I know Alan and just their entire group has been working awfully hard to make that happen. And I really believe that they can do it. And when it comes time to start preparing for next year and worrying about that, we will. But they got a race to go win tomorrow night.
Congratulations on a very solid season.
Thank you.
Chase Elliott comes up just a little bit short, second overall in the Xfinity Series standings.
Thank you, Mike. As we look at the championship standings, 15 points, 15 positions, and all that separated Chase Elliott from defending his championship from a year ago. Amazing what that 19-year-old has been able to do as he will take over the 24 ride in 2016.
See Daniel Suarez in fifth. What a great rookie year for Daniel, learning so much about these bigger racetracks he's used to running on, these heavy Xfinity stock cars. Really showed a ton of maturity and a bunch of talent all throughout the year, being consistent, learning these new facilities.
Ryan Reed finishing in the top 10, so a great year for Roush Fenway Racing. Mike Massaro also caught up with Ty Dillon just after the race.
Just 18 points. That was the difference between a championship and a third place overall finish in the standings for Ty Dillon. A hard-fought battle here in 2015. How would you describe your season?
It was a good year. It's always a good thing to be disappointed with having an opportunity to win the championship, and it just didn't happen. But I want to thank Bass Pro Shops and Yingling and Westco and Vanity Fair and Red Cap, everybody who was on board this year for giving me the opportunity to do this again. And I know next year's going to be great. Nick and the guys, we really turned everything around about halfway through the season, and I think going into Dover, we were only 14, 15 points out of the lead and had that issue, and I'd really like to see what happened with the championship. I feel like if we would have finished where we were running there, we'd won the championship by 15 or so points. So just proud of our effort. We did what we needed to do coming down the stretch and beat all the guys in the points every single race, I think, for the last 5 or 6 races, and just wasn't enough, but I'm really proud of our effort. Can't thank ECR, RCR. Everybody puts a hand on this car all throughout the year. It just, I hate 2 years into it, didn't get the championship. We'll get it next year if we have the opportunity, and hopefully if we're not cup racing, we'll have the opportunity. So, but Chris Buescher and his guys did a great job. They did what they needed to do throughout the year, and just fell short. But I'm blessed to have the opportunity to do what I did this year, and the good Lord blessed me with another good season.
You kind of opened the door there. You said if we're not cup racing, what does the future hold?
We're planning on hopefully running both full schedules and trying to make it work, and hopefully anybody out there who wants to be on board. I'm going to drive my heart out every single race I'm in the race car for the rest of my life, and hopefully win a lot of championships and not be finishing third like we are now.
We're going to hear a lot more about Ty Dillon in the future, that's for sure. Third in the Xfinity Series standings here in 2015.
Regan Smith will finish the season with 13 straight top 10 finishes. It wasn't quite enough to get the championship, but what does it say about you and the resolve of this team to have dug yourself out of a hole not once but twice this season to even be in the conversation?
Yeah, I'm glad we're in the conversation. There's a couple points in the year that probably shouldn't have been and probably really weren't just because of small mistakes or other people's mistakes on the racetrack. So that's good. I'm frustrated today. I guess that's the only thing you focus on is how your night went tonight, and we really struggled. This Texter Chevy was really fast in practice and just didn't translate to the race, and we've been having trouble with that all year long. So it's been a difficult spot for us. We've had trouble adjusting on it when we've gotten into the races, and it's part of the reason why we dug the hole that we dug and had to try and rebound from it. So congrats to the 60 guys. They did a nice job all year, and Chris is a hell of a race car driver. He was smart when he needed to be smart, and he raced hard when he needed to race hard, and that's what it takes to win a championship. So he beat us all.
Well, the bright side of the season, you had a pair of wins. It's no secret that you're looking for a job for next year. What do you think your message is? What did you show this season?
Oh, well, we showed a lot of resolve, showed speed and consistency, and I've done that for 3 years. So that's not anything new. I've been, every year I've been at Junior Motorsports, I've had a ton of changes. I couldn't just get one consistent year where we go into the next season with everything the same, and that was obviously difficult. So I can adapt to working with different people and doing all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how things play out for next year. I know what I'm capable of in the race car, and I still got some championships left in me, and we need to go get one.
I know, as you said, you couldn't quite get the handling right on the car tonight, feeling a little bit frustrated. What do you think tomorrow's emotions will bring?
Well, for 4 guys, it's going to bring a lot of emotions. One guy's going to be really happy, and the other 3 are going to be really pissed off. So, I'll be watching just like everybody else tomorrow night and intrigued as to what takes place. The track wasn't what I expected, but I don't know if it was as much the track or just our cars shifting in the aero balance, an extreme amount. And I didn't have the speed that we had yesterday. We could run with a 42 and a 54 yesterday, and we were nowhere in the same zip code today. So, as it takes that transition from day to night, it really is going to require these guys to adapt and figure out what their cars want. And the top is rubbered in. There's no more cushion up there. There's no place to go to find any place that's not rubbered right now. So they're going to have difficulties with that too.
Thank you, Regan.
All right, thanks.
Coming up next, look at Chris Buescher. He's going to continue to celebrate, and you can celebrate alongside on NBCSN with NASCAR America post-race show from right on the front stretch. It's just about 100 yards away from championship stage. Krista, Kyle, and DJ getting ready for NASCAR America post-race show. Again, the celebration will continue for quite some time for Chris Buescher, and it's deserving. He should be able to celebrate because he was able to do what none other could do in 2015. He was able to score the most points and win the championship. He mentioned as a young kid, it was his dream. He wanted to be a race car driver. He wanted to do what you have done, which you raced at the highest level. Chris Buescher has now won a championship in the Xfinity Series. He's raced against the best. How does he soak all of this in now at just 23 years old?
I think his perspective that when he was 5 years old, he wanted to be a race car driver, and today he won a NASCAR championship, but being a race car driver, I think that perspective alone says a lot about him because he doesn't take it for granted. He remembers being 5 years old. He knows the struggle that it took to get here. He acknowledges his parents. Without his parents, he wouldn't have had the opportunity. So I think that perspective says a great deal about him.
Yeah, Chris Buescher wins an Xfinity championship for Jack Roush, an owner that's been in NASCAR for so many years, has won Xfinity championships, who has committed to these younger drivers, has brought up talent like Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, and here you see Chris Buescher joining that list, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think it's always special to be successful, but to be successful in one of the top-tier series of motorsports has got to mean a lot, and to do it with an organization like Roush Fenway, a company that's looking for more speed on Sunday, to prove it's possible to go out, win races, and a championship in the Xfinity Series has to mean a lot to the entire organization.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Jack Roush, he's been that guy that's brought in the young drivers. He's not one that goes and takes a guy from someone that's being successful. He goes and finds them and then finds a way to give them an opportunity, and that's a great question now, right? I mean, you hate to ask it today after winning an Xfinity championship, but when does Chris Buescher get his opportunity in a Cup car? He's proven that he can do it. Like, he's deserving of an opportunity, but when does that opportunity come? And patience is okay, right? It's okay. As long as you ultimately get a shot, then it's okay to wait several years.
That's the biggest question. When is the right time to move to the highest level of NASCAR racing? We're about to experience that tomorrow. The highest level will determine a champion. 4 drivers all with a shot at the Sprint Cup Championship. Jeff Gordon trying to win his 5th title. In his last race, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. looking for their first title, and Kevin Harvick trying to defend his title. How big of an event will that be tomorrow?
Well, we've been thinking about it for a week, and then after watching this race today,
that's right.
I mean, we can only imagine what it's going to be like. I mean, imagine 4 guys. Listen, they enter that race equal in points. There is no point advantage. It's just whoever beats whom, that's going to be the champion. It is going to be really wild to watch.
That is the point. Jeff and I watched this entire race today, and we kept looking down. There was an 18-point gap for Chris Buescher, and all of these points runners continue to swap positions. Tomorrow, those positions will be for the championship. I thought I knew what the race was going to be like, but after watching these 200 laps today, I can't imagine the stress and intensity of these 4 chase contenders going for that championship.
And after watching practice also, you watch practice and they're all running the same speed. So track position at the right time is going to be so important. There's going to be so much pressure on pit crews, the crew chiefs, great restarts. I mean, it is going to be a really, really crazy race.
And now let's go to Rutledge Wood.
Rick, this is the second biggest day this sport has, and to be down here right now and feel all the energy from all this crowd, so many fans, for them it was like rushing the field at a huge football game. For them to come down here and experience this, because we basically got 2 simultaneous victory lanes going on, one for Kyle, obviously one for Chris, but to see this and see the fans walk around, it's crazy to think that tomorrow, the biggest day of our sport, is going to happen right here on NBC again. This is huge. I wish you guys could be here and experience this with us. We've got a great view right here from the pit road cabana. But guys, I know you're way up there in the booth. Down here, this is the place to be right now.
Well, and thankfully, all of the fans can enjoy and be a part of these championship celebrations on NBC. Once again, we will crown a champion tomorrow. It will be in the Sprint Cup Series. Right now, Chris Buescher is celebrating.
Chris is celebrating, and think about the potential champions we have tomorrow. We have a 4-time champion, Jeff Gordon, retiring, Martin Truex from a small team, Kyle Busch coming back from injury, and then the defending champion, Kevin Harvick. 4 great storylines, a lot of laps, a lot of pit decisions, a lot of restarts to decide which one will stand on that stage tomorrow afternoon.
And we heard about Chris Buescher. You know, he talked about what it meant to him to be a young guy, wanted to race, and now win an Xfinity championship. Well, every one of these guys that's racing tomorrow, same thing. They wanted to be race car drivers when they were little. They have this opportunity in front of them to go capitalize and realize a dream. What a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, athletes, you know, when you're a little kid playing basketball, playing baseball, you imagine winning in the closing minutes of a game. Well, tomorrow, these race car drivers have a chance to win it all in the closing laps of a race.
And that's what Chris Buescher was able to do tonight. Win a championship. Well, continued post-race coverage is coming up on NBCSN with NASCAR America. It's live from here in Miami. Up next on NBC, your local news, except on the West Coast. And later tonight, an all-new Saturday Night Live with host Matthew McConaughey and musical guest Adele. 2 dominant cars early on with Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, but in the end, it was Kyle Larson that wins the race. But the big celebration goes to the 2015 champion of the Xfinity Series. Congratulations, Chris Buescher.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcast.